Welcome to another episode of Forget About It Fridays Unfiltered, where junk removal meets real talk and no topic is off limits. I'm your host, Paul Italia, and tonight we got a lineup hotter than a July attic cleanout. Co-hosting with me is the one and only Mr. Yee Yee, the hype man, the wild card, the people's champ. And joining us tonight, two absolute killers in the junk game. We got Adam Hummel, rocket scientist turned junk removal specialist. He traded NASA for nasty garage cleanouts and turned brain power into brute power. If there's junk in the way, he's clearing the launch path. Josh Hollingsworth, Google Ads guru, turning clicks into cash. This man's got Google eating out his hands. If you've seen your competition rank number one, chances are he's behind it. We're talking junk drama, ad strategy, brand building, and everything in between. So grab a chair, pour a drink, and get ready to forget about it. Welcome, everybody. What is up, everyone?
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy, Mr. Yee Yee, and we got some special guests in the building today, and you guys give them love, and get your comments ready. I mean, your comments, and you post them if you guys have any comments for these guys, and let's go.
Yo, before
I
we
just want
kick
to
off
say,
into everything and all. Oh, Adam, what's up, brother? Talk to me, man.
well, and I just wanted to say, I'm excited to talk to Josh because I've heard so many good things about him, and I know that his knowledge on the topic. I know nothing about click ads. You know what I mean? I'm
Bro,
not the
you're a
antithesis
rocket
of it,
scientist,
but
man. When we got to
I
ask
just
about launching a rocket, we're coming to you, man. I'm just teasing you, brother. But guys, I got a real serious question here. One of my guys, he gave me a call today. Another junk removal company, and they're dealing with some fake reviews. They got an onslaught. I think it was like 20 or 30 all at once, and just one-star reviews and everything. So I wanted to find out, for them, what would be the best way for them to handle it.
Report it as soon as you get it. Report it and go to Google and document it and say, these people are, this is not real.
Yeah,
Does anybody have
so
experience with it in here?
yes.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not an expert with Google My Business profiles, um, but it is something that I've run into before and clients run into. The best thing to really do is report it. And honestly, I am an advocate when it comes to GMBs to reaching out to somebody that specializes in doing GMBs. I'm not saying it has to be an agency or something, but like the thing is with these fake reviews, if they really uploaded 20 to 30 fake reviews overnight, it's going to be a pretty easy dispute for Google, right? That's what I would imagine. Anything with Google is going to require consistent follow up. But if these are real customers, and then it can sometimes there can be nothing you can do about it. My advice would be to reach out to somebody that specializes um, in Google business profiles.
Does anybody know who that guy is in
Yeah, I
Jungle?
do.
Oh, we got a couple guys right here. We got Jamie says Louis Vandervork would be one for that. And Andrew, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I think any of those guys that do the GMB optimization, SEO guys, I'm
Yeah,
thinking that.
Alan Bearden, Tucker's, and he's really good with those. I refer clients to him all the time. He does a really
Okay.
good job.
Instead of reaching out to somebody, try yourself. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Try yourself and don't rely on anybody and go out there and try to just email them, documentate them, and you'd be surprised. You email Google, it might take them a few minutes, but they will get back to you because you're actually benefiting them by getting reviews and getting clicks. You'd be surprised. Just trying it yourself and trials and errors. Because stop depending on people.
Sarah says a guy in my area just got some one-star reviews and said that the person messaged him on WhatsApp to extort money from him. That's kind of what's going on here. I got some of the messages they sent to me. I don't want to say the person's name and all. I don't know if they want people to know out in public, and maybe it's somebody close to them watching and messing with them. Kevin says Alan Bearden is a pro at it, but yes, report it. Yeah, I'm with Josh on this and Mr. Yee. I think just because it was so many at once, I think that's a pretty red flag for Google, and I'm sure they'll get rid of that for you, hopefully. But there's a couple of guys in there that they're making mention of, so maybe hit them up, and I'm sure they got some knowledge on it. What's up, Cisco? How are you tonight, brother? Appreciate you tuning in.
So my take on the negative reviews, and not necessarily Google, but I've been thwarting a lot of ridiculousness online lately, from articles claiming that I have a relationship with North Korea and Kim Jong-un to some lady putting up on Nextdoor that I condone beating women. So I got that taken down. And then I got another negative review taken down on Facebook. And I didn't do it the traditional way because I hardly do anything the traditional way. I used the guerrilla tactic of allowing my free foot soldiers to verbally accost and attack them on the sites. So the Nextdoor had like 15 replies of people just going crazy on this bitch. And then literally within 4 or 5 hours, they took it down. So it was like, all right, well,
Adam, how do you get into all these local drama? I've never seen somebody get into so many like town disputes. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Sometimes I'm like, I think he's just staging this and writing his own letter and all. I'm like, bro, who is making up that you're hanging out with North Korean Kim Jong-un? Like, it's just crazy stuff. How does this happen?
So it happens because of one incredibly crazy person, okay? And I went to high school with this person. I tried to help this person out. They sold things in their home, and they were very immunocompromised. Long story short, during COVID, I had arranged for them to pick up a bunch of VHS books, CDs, DVDs, all for free. And when they met up with my guy the next day, they and my guy were both sick. No one had symptoms the day they met, nothing. And I started getting threatening messages that I gave this person long COVID and I like essentially chemically warfared her or something. Like it's the most outlandish shit you've ever heard in your life. But she is relentless, dude. Like she has like 9 profiles online. She goes against so many local business owners. She's crazy. So that's my biggest opponent right now.
I get a kick out of watching your Facebook, bro. It is so damn entertaining. Every time when I wake up, that's the first thing I go. Got to check in. What is craziness is going on in Adam's world and all. But we got to jump into this, man, because I've been waiting to get Josh on. I found Josh. He was in the Facebook groups is where I first came about you. I seen everybody. You got a big following in there. They really believe in your services and all. And that's what got my attention right away. So, and I see you are kind of controversial in a way, man. You definitely will say what's on your mind. I don't remember exactly. I think it was like maybe a month and a half back. I think you were getting tired or something. Like a lot of people were talking crap about Google Ads, and you made this video, and I was like, I like that. He's not beating around the bush. He's just going straight at it. And also, I want to first find out, man, your background. Like, how did you get into junk removal? Did you have a junk removal company? Kind of tell us about that.
Yeah. So, long story short, I started my junk removal business in 2020. And 2022, I started doing marketing. It just took over. I mean, so the way that I got started doing marketing, the way that I got started with junk removal is I owned rental properties. Okay. I got really tired of hiring junk removal companies. To be honest, it was so expensive, dude. Like, anybody who knows anything about investing, I don't know if you guys have ever owned rental properties. They could be the worst headache. And just such a money pit. I mean, just such an unpredictable, bottomless pit of tossing money down the drain. Junk removal was just icing on the cake. Every time a tenant would move out, it would feel like, to me, I have like 5 things, and 1-800-GOT-JUNK would want $1,500. So I mean, it sort of led me down the path of that. That's when I wanted to, I came to a point with my job where I'm like, I want to do this. I had an ex-girlfriend who her dad did it. I was hiring these companies all the time, so I thought it would make sense. I started out with a box truck, and I hired a lot of marketing agencies. I'm not going to say any names, but I've hired a lot of marketers that are in these groups that are big names. I've spent a lot of money. From the beginning, I was a little bit different than how a lot of guys start out. So from day one, I had an employee. From day one, I was spending money on advertising. I never tried to do it door knocking, hanging flyers, going on Facebook. I never did that. I was spending money straight out of the gate because I didn't have time to mess around. I had bills I had to pay, so I didn't want to rely on word of mouth and stuff. So I came in, got a box truck, hired an employee, and was spending money straight out of the gate. I hired a lot of marketers. After a certain amount of time being very patient, investing a lot of money, it sort of just, to me, it seemed that a lot of them really didn't care about the results. And they were just in it for a check. So eventually I started doing it myself, and I wasted a lot of money. It started to become like a problem for me. It was like an addiction. I mean, it wasn't a good thing. Like I became so obsessed with it that I was willing to lose money to figure out how to do it, like a lot of money. And, I bought courses, and, I'd be like, I wonder if I do this with an ad. Let me just make a separate campaign for this. Let me just try this out, targeting these areas. Let's throw like $150 a day at it. Like, it just came to a point where I didn't really care if I was making money. I just wanted to get good with it. And I started in the Facebook groups. I had just offered to run ads for a couple guys that just said they were just having terrible results. That really quickly just turned into, I'm going to stop doing junk removal. I've worked with almost 200 businesses within the past 3 years. So it's, I still have the junk removal business right now. I actually I have two guys here that are competitors, but they're my friends. Like, we'll go out and eat lunch together and stuff. And I won't say names or anything, but one of them just gets everything from my business. All my phone calls, form submissions, they just go to him. I don't even charge him or anything. But I also do Google ads for both those guys for different things. So that's kind of how I've got to where I am. It was very accidental, but I mean, I'm glad things have worked out the way they have.
So with the junk removal, were you like successful with it? Did you take it like seriously? Was it like a full-time job or was kind of like
nothing
oh
else.
yeah, it was
I had nothing
full-time?
else. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that went into it. I was profitable every year. But there came a point where I just didn't. I'm going to be honest with you. I hated doing it. I fucking hated it. I mean, it felt like every other day I was, we don't know what happened to our dolly. This is the sixth one I bought this year. I went through 5 Sawzalls in a single year. My employees would lose stuff. Everybody that would work with me needed a ride to work. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not really a good people person, to be honest with you. And that's something that I really struggle with. Like I said in the beginning, like I didn't have a girlfriend or I didn't have any buddies that would like help me. Like I had to do this from the jump. I was never one of those guys that would like try to do it myself. I don't know how you guys do that, dude. I know there's a lot of guys. The few times I've went to go do jobs by myself, I regretted it. I fucked up the first time I ever went and did a job by myself. It was a hot tub. Took me like 6.5 hours, dude. I'm like, never.
Wow.
And then I did it another time where one of my employees called off, and it was a washing machine. It was a very simple job, but yeah, I fucked up the person's door. I had to pay for all the trim and stuff, so that was a big thing for me. Another thing that kind of contributed to my decision was at the time in this area, I'm in Cleveland. We have the main transfer station, which is Ridge Road. It was like $46 a ton. Okay. They shut down to the public. They closed at like 2:30. It became hit or miss when they would let people go in and out. I mean, it was just becoming really, really difficult. We would show up at the dump. We'd try calling them. They don't answer. We'd show up at the dump in the morning and they'd say, we're turning you guys away today. Then I got to cancel all my shit and I got to pay my people. I can't just pay them for an hour. There's no way to keep people. So I'd have to pay them for the whole day. I'd have customers mad. you know, it was either that or we have to go out of our way to another transfer station where the prices are literally more than double. Uh, and you know, it messed everything up. There was a lot that went into it. I just hated doing it. I hated it. I loved the marketing side of it that I started to learn, but I hated doing junk removal.
So what
So
I'm really interested in is, obviously junk removal wasn't your thing. You weren't really into it, but like, so explain, like, how did your marketing, because it seems like you got obsessive with that. How
yes,
successful did that make your business? Like,
so I did not become. I won't even. I'm not even going to toot my own horn, but one of the biggest things looking now that I didn't realize at the time, there's no way, no matter how much I did marketing wise, I would have ever been as good as I could be just doing it for my own company. It's just impossible. I mean, at the time, I mean, I was getting better results than all the marketing agencies that I hired. So I thought that was good enough. You know, I'm like, hey, I can help you out. I wasn't charging people a lot of money to
Josh,
do
can
it.
I just let me just stop you there? So let me ask you. You don't have
Yeah.
to. You said you didn't want to name names or anything, but can you give us an idea? What do they charge monthly? Like, what were you paying on the average for these marketing companies to do all your ads? And what did it come with? Was it SEO? Was it just Google ads? Was it Facebook ads? Kind of let us know the details.
So, okay, again, I really don't want to name people, but the first person that I ever hired, this agency that I ever hired, gave me everything, right? Built a website, did SEO, made me a logo. I think they made me a logo. I might have had the logo made or something. Running Google ads, whatever. And it basically didn't do anything for my business. And I didn't care about marketing. You know, when I first started, I don't care. I don't mind spending money. It has to make sense. And I know that running a business is hard and it's going to be competitive, but consult with me, help me get better results. And I remember at one point I was literally on the phone with the first marketer that I hired. And he's very big now. And I remember telling me, yeah, man, you know, Google ads it's just not worth it. And it's like, how are you going to charge me to do this and sell it to people and then say that it's not worth it? So then I hired another guy, and he was really, really hard to get a hold. I hired just a couple different guys. They're not really agencies, more like freelancers. And I was not a shitty customer. I hired a agency, a big one from YouTube. And I mean, you know,
Can
I
you
started to
give me
learn
a
a little
range though? Because I'm completely dumb
of
when it
what.
comes to this.
Sorry, of what I was paying.
Yeah, because I really need to know this because I
Sorry.
see like rumors going around with there's been a topic, somebody's disappeared recently. We're gonna get into that,
Sorry.
but they're
Yeah.
saying how much they were paying, and I was just kind of in shock. So I want to
So
hear from you.
for Google Ads, I was paying $500 to $1,000 a month, depending on who I hired.
Okay.
And that was kind of at the time. And now,
And now from that, you weren't. Can you let me know what were the returns that you were seeing on that?
well, that's the thing. I didn't really know at the time.
Okay.
I wasn't really keeping track of anything. I just know that it wasn't making sense. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be all over the place. I kind of tend to babble sometimes, but here's kind of the thing, and kind of my point with that. Most business owners in junk removal are focused on running a junk removal business. That's what they want to do. And they hire a marketer because you want somebody to do this for you so you can focus on your business. But then there's absolutely, I wasn't getting the marketing agencies I had hired. I wasn't getting copies of my phone calls. I couldn't listen to any of my recorded calls. No kind of reporting or updates or talking to them whatsoever. I mean, just really nothing. So I didn't know what I needed to be doing. I just know once I started to figure things out and I looked at the ads, I seen how much money I was wasting on stuff like Republic, trash service, waste management, bag stir pickup, and just all kinds of garbage. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if these guys just don't know what they're doing. Frankly, I think they just don't care. So, the return was very poor. I don't know what it was because I wasn't tracking anything. I didn't realize that I had to be doing that at the time.
So what did what made you decide, okay, I'm not paying nobody anymore. I'm just going to go do this myself. And then how
I
long?
didn't want to.
Okay, but
I
how
felt
long
like
did it take you to figure it out? Because it seems like you kind of just locked yourself in and we're just like, I'm going to figure this out. How long of a process was that?
Probably a year and a half, maybe. I didn't want to do it myself. I felt like I didn't have a choice. I mean, it didn't matter who
Do you
referred
have a
me.
lot of computer background?
No,
Sorry to jump in, but do you have a lot of computer background? Because I would be totally lost.
I was super lost. Um, it was. I started to just feel like I did not have an option. Is really what it was. It wasn't like I said, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to become a marketing agency. It was like, okay, I've hired 5 fucking companies. They all had great reviews. Everybody that I talked to said, these guys are awesome. And it was just a shit show. And then, I talked to a few companies that I had talked to that I didn't hire. One thing that I noticed about these different agencies, their prices were just all over the place. I mean, some guys wanted $1,500 to $2,000 to build a fucking landing page for me. So it's like, yeah, I'm kind of getting tired of doing this runaround. I don't mind spending the money, but I'm not getting the results that I feel like I need to be getting. So yeah, it was just I didn't want to learn how to do it myself. I saw it as I really didn't have a choice at the time.
Okay, so now when did you figure it out? Like, what year are we in that you're just like, okay, I got this now. I'm going
End
to
of
stop
20
junk removal and I'm going all in with marketing.
End of 21, halfway through 22. So I was doing marketing when I really don't want to drop any names. I was doing marketing and running my junk removal business, and I was happy doing both. And then I won't say any names. There's a marketer in the group there's an agency that didn't want to handle Google Ads anymore, and they basically handed me like 10 clients overnight. So I'm like, okay, I have to do something. At the time it was such a big I was so lucky. I mean, that's what kickstarted my business. That's when it went from me like helping out 5 or 6 guys, boom, having almost 20 clients overnight. I'm like, okay, I have to stop picking up junk. I can't focus on that. I have to let my employees know, I have to stop doing this because now I'm like committing to spending money for people. Like I have to focus on this. So, very fortunate that it happened that way.
So Josh, so in the beginning, you didn't know really anything about computers. I think you said, right? And running ads or anything. But
Nothing.
within 2 years, now you're running people's situation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you learned all this, how to market for people, and how to you do the marketing and everything for junk removal for other businesses, all within 2 years.
Yeah, it was much shorter than 2 years, but I've gotten better
Okay.
over it. I've gotten better at it over time. I did buy courses. I lit money on fire, dude, to learn how to do it. I saw it as an
S-
invaluable skill to have. So, I'm like, if I can figure this out and I can really get this down, um, it's a
So,
really invaluable skill to have.
so are you paying anybody to do your SEO for you, for your clients?
I only do ads. I don't white label anything.
Okay.
Sorry. Um, so sorry. When you say SEO, I don't offer SEO.
Okay, so we want to just get clear. So what is your like forte? So it's Google Ads. Do you also do Facebook Ads? Do you do
Nope.
any other marketing?
I focus only on Google Ads now.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot. I don't know, how many people are going to see this video, but I'm sure a lot of them can attest to the fact that I run paid ads because I plaster people in those groups with Facebook ads, dude. So I do run Facebook ads, and like I do have a couple clients where I help them with SEO, but I do not offer it as a service. I just want to be very clear. Like you could call me today and offer me any amount of money. I focus on Google Ads because I want to be good at Google Ads. I don't want to offer everything under the sun.
That makes sense. And
Yeah.
Josh, this is what I want to kind of get the background. So What were you making, if you don't mind sharing, what were you making in junk removal per year? You started, I think, in 2020. Kind of give us
Sure.
like the rundown, and what was like the opening year? What did you make and all?
So my first full year, I did like 240,000, and I think I made like $42,000. My second year in business.
So you only made 42 out of it? And is that from all the ads that you were paying for and all that?
Sorry.
So you only made 40 grand out of the 250 gross? Is that what you said?
I don't know. Yeah, it was like 225. Yes.
Wow.
I mean,
So
I had a
what
pretty
was
reasonable.
explain what was costing so much? It was the ads and all?
Well, so yeah, the ads cost a lot of money. I think and again, so keep in mind, I started like halfway through the year, so I'm really thinking about my first full year in business, right? Like my first full year tax return. Um, so the ads were a significant expense to me. I think I spent like $70,000 out of that 230 on advertising. But at the same time, here's the thing: I wouldn't have made that much money if I didn't invest in advertising. So, one of my biggest expenses was just waste. I'm not a financially sound. I'm not good with money, like bookkeeping and stuff. I'm the worst person. I have an accountant. I print out my bank statements at the end of the year. I go through all my paperwork. I highlight stuff that was a business expense. What this was for. What this was for. I'm very messy in that regard. So I'm sure I lost a lot of money due to just little things, right? Like I would buy a lot of tools and equipment. My employees would lose stuff all the time. Ran over a few mailboxes. We got a bunch of flat tires, stuff that probably could have been, prevented, or I could have been cheaper about. And I'm just like, fuck it. I just need this done because we got to get back on the road. So a lot of it was probably just poor financial decisions on my end. But I mean, even then, I think the profit margin that I was hitting was reasonable to me. I mean, I started a business out of nowhere. To do $200,000 in 12 months is, for me, that was
But
pretty
but
awesome.
but Josh, if you weren't keeping records, how do you know you made 200,000?
Well, I have a CPA. We file taxes.
Okay.
I
Now,
mean, to
so
file taxes, we have to have, reported
Well,
P&Ls.
you can
or
tell
whatever.
you can tell your CPA anything, really.
I'm not sure what you're getting at.
well, let me ask you this. How so the last year in junk removal before you went all in with the market and everything, what was that like? What were you keeping out of there and all that?
Sorry, ask again.
Like your final year as in junk removal, because the first year that was you brought in 240 gross. What was like the last year in junk removal before you made the big transition to marketing and said, all right, I'm done with junk removal?
Yeah, sorry. So let me kind of recap. So I really only had one full fiscal year. Okay. So because I started in June or July or August or something in 2020. Okay. So I had 6 months that first year. I think I made like $70,000 gross. Can't remember what I made out of it. $20,000, less than $20,000. And then my second full year, which was 21, that's when I made $240,000. And then for 22, I honestly couldn't tell you. So this is not financially sound, obviously, but my marketing agency, everything is still under the junk removal business. So how I've filed taxes has always been Top Shelf Junk Removal LLC. So I basically, when we stopped in 22, like halfway through the year, and I made so much money marketing, I honestly couldn't tell you which was which.
So how many clients in that first year would you say that you got, with the marketing, and like, what are you charging, per month? Like, did it go up from, the beginning? Like now, are you charging a higher rate? Like kind of how does the whole pricing work and all that?
A little bit, but not really. I started charging. So the way that I did it was like I would pay for the call tracking software and the website builder. I was using a website builder to build landing pages, and then we have Click Fraud Defender. I was paying for all that, and I just charge clients a flat rate of $300 a month. Now I generally charge $400 a month for virtually everybody, but I do have a lot of situations where I will charge upwards of $600 a month. Like sometimes we'll build multiple campaigns, and it'll require a lot of work. I also have a few clients that have multiple locations. I don't charge them full rate, but it can just vary. But just for anybody, like an average person were to call me and say, hey, can you run my ads? I charge $400 a month. and we do a free 30-day trial. So I don't charge people anything for the first 30 days.
And what would you say is like a good starting point? Say I'm looking to get into, running an ad campaign for Google. I'm like 5-6 months in junk removal. What's a good budget? And is this the proper time for me to start now, or do I want to wait longer? Like, when's the ideal time for me?
So here's the thing. One of the things that I found out is that literally nobody talks about the drawbacks of Google Ads. One of the biggest drawbacks, so we have two types of marketing channels, okay? We have demand capture channels, and then we have demand generation channels. In demand capture channels, I promise I'm going to get to your point here. Sorry, I'm just breaking this down. So demand capture channels, we're capturing existing demand. Think Google, Bing, Angie's List, Thumbtack, etc. People are going to the internet, whatever, looking for our service, and we're capturing those leads. And then we have demand generation, we have YouTube, display ads, TikTok, Facebook, etc. where you're trying to essentially create demand in your market, right? And one of the drawbacks of Google and capture channels in general is relying on search volume. So your budget should not be, there is no single, I will say that we won't run ads for anybody really with less than $50 a day budget, because it just doesn't really make sense in most cases. But your budget's going to depend heavily on what area you're in. There are most.
So let me ask you this, Josh. So if I put $50 a day, is that like, am I going to see anything from that? Like, what are the returns, and like, how long does it take to get these returns?
Okay, so people are going to, people always hate when I say stuff like this, but honestly, the returns are so dependent on your book rate. But your book rate to me is the most important figure in your business. How many calls does it take you to land a job? That's what's going to determine how worth it Google Ads is going to be. Plain and simple. If you land 1 out of 4 calls, and calls are cost, numbers don't lie, right? Marketers lie, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. That's what I always tell people. If we can track your phone calls and consistently see, due to your pricing or whatever the case is, you consistently land 1 out of 4 phone calls. Even if we build a killer ad campaign that is generating leads for $25, and you say, let's try $50 a day. Just do the math. 2 calls a day, on average, you land 1 out of 4 on average. You're going to do a job every 2 days. That's not going to move the needle at all. That's not going to change your business in any way, shape, or form. It's going to feel like it didn't work and you're just wasting money. So your book rate really heavily influences the possible return on investment. I consider a good return on investment to be 4 times or higher, but it depends so significant. It's so different for every company. It's impossible to give a number. If you land 1 out of 2 calls and you say, it depends on your goals, right? If you were to say, hey, Josh, we want to do 3 calls a day from Google Ads, okay? This is how I would break it down. I would say, okay, we're going to look in the market. We're going to see how much search volume there is to see how many leads we could potentially get with a reasonable click-through rate and a reasonable conversion rate, okay? We're going to see how many leads we could potentially get. But just assuming, in average scenarios, probably most junk removal companies and dumpster companies book 1 out of 4 calls. So a lot of times I talk to people, they say, we book 80-90% of our calls. No, you don't. I will go in any of these groups, dude. I will put cash on it. Anybody that can prove to me they book that, nobody does. And that's the reason why a lot of junk removal and dumpster companies, I think, struggle is they really underestimate how many leads they need to get. So anyways, let me get to your point. If you need to land 3 jobs a day and you land 1 out of 4, you need 12 leads a day. And even if we're getting killer results at $25 a pop for those leads, what's that going to be? $250, $300? You spend $300. Is that right? 12 times 25, 250. Yeah, you'd be spending $300 a day to get 12 calls. So your book rate really heavily influences how much money you're going to make from the ads. And a lot of the time, you're not going to be able to rely on Google Ads to bring you that many calls in a day. So, sorry, kind of babbling here.
But how long? Oh, sorry, Adam. What do you got
I'd
to say?
like to interject on booking percentages, only because I have a very long record of amazing booking. And so when I worked for College Hunks, I was a plebe there, all right, at the call center. I was inbound calls, and I was the booking champion. Most months I would book around 65 to 72% of my calls. And I don't think I don't think it's very difficult to book a junk removal call, honestly. Like, as long as you set the parameters correctly. Now, if you do it too loosely, you're just going to go there and not get the job. So you still have to like distinguish like all the parameters. But I would say 50% would be a reasonable booking percentage. Like most of the inbound reps did like 40 to 50% that I worked with anyway.
All right,
that has not been my experience. I've always been told that a good number
close rate then. So like, is it like the calls that actually lead to a actual successful completed job?
Yeah, sorry, I just used the terms interchangeably, not factoring in cancellation rates. Okay, so I'm referring from call to booked appointment.
Okay, so I got a question now. So this is what I'm thinking in my head as we're going through this and everything. So, there's been a lot of like talk in the community and everything. And like, there's like two sides, there's one side that everybody wants to pay for everything and services and all. And there's another side that's like completely against, spending any extra money and all. So a lot of people are saying that a lot of the industry are just, they're like kind of like vulturing people, they're going after the new people, they're not really qualified and they're coming off as gurus. And, a lot of things that I'm hearing them teach and all, now that I'm learning the industry, I'm realizing like they're guiding people in the wrong ways in a lot of things. I don't know if they mean to do it or if they just don't have the knowledge, but, I'm not going to mention names, but I've learned the hard way as well. There's a couple of times I've spent a couple of $1,000s because I followed gurus that told me this is the right way to do. I took it for real, implemented it, found out the hard way, had to go and correct it. So I kind of got salty with that. And that's when I made this show. And the whole point of this show, we got a little feedback. Does anybody know? Let me just mute everybody for a second and see where that's coming from. Okay, so I'm trying to find out what's true, what's not, who's real, who's not. Now there was like a big situation this week. I see that like Matt Fitch has, disappeared, or I don't know really what's going on, but I know there's a lot of people out of money, and now people are talking about how much money they were paying him, and people are saying that he wasn't qualified and all that. So I'm just listening to you talk and everything, and I'm like, all right, how is he junk removal? What made him get into it? And then, you tell your story and all, and I'm like, it doesn't even sound like you did junk removal. It's like almost like under a year. And it's like, kind of like if I kind of started going and teaching people things, and I'm really not qualified there because I don't know it. So then you're like kind of telling us, well, you just figured out marketing because you got burnt 5 times and you started like learning from there. And then you got handed 10 clients. And I'm just like, oh my God, do these clients know that are paying you, that you're brand new, you never really did junk removal, and now like they're paying you monthly? You know what I mean? It's like, so I'm trying to figure out, how come you're so qualified at this? Like, what is telling you? Because you don't keep track of your numbers. There's, you don't know what you make and all that. The numbers that you do say would just sound ridiculous. It doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to figure out, like, why are you qualified, bro? Let me unmute you. I'm sorry.
There we go. Well, so I'm not jumping on this show to sell anybody on anything. So listen, I'm kind of confused. I got to be honest. Where am I claiming to be this? How does my junk removal business relate to my marketing business? Like, so because you're implying that if I didn't build a junk removal business and go on YouTube and lie to everybody about my numbers like most YouTubers do, that means I can't build you a better Google Ads campaign than most marketing agencies that you're going to hire?
Well, you see, the thing that I'm just having a problem with, man, because I brought you on here, and I honestly, I thought, from what I was seeing in the groups, I'm like, oh, this guy really knows his stuff and all, and I'm waiting to get wowed here, and it's kind of like, I feel like I know more than you in junk removal, and I'm just like, okay, so let's see, I guess it's the marketing, because this would work with any home business. So if you're just a good marketer, you got it. But then like things that you're saying to me, I'm just not seeing the expert level, bro. And it's just like a lot of people are just feeling like we're getting ripped off by a lot of people. And I'm just curious, like when you market to these people, are you letting them know that like I'm only a year in and I'm just kind of learning myself? I got messed 5 times, and that's why I decided to come and do this.
I'm confused.
Well, okay.
So
So do you have
I've
results,
worked
brother,
with-
that would
I've
make this
worked-
all right? Like,
I've worked with close to 200 businesses, and I can verify that. I've managed millions of dollars in ad spend. That's where my expertise comes from with Google Ads.
okay, so what is the returns that you're producing for them? You know, that's what I'm curious about.
Depends significantly, man, on the business.
So give
It
me an
depends
average
significantly.
basis, man. So like, is it
3
like
to 4
on the
times
average out
return
of
on
those
investment.
200 guys, you're seeing like a 4x or 5x? Like, just
Yeah,
kind
so
of
we
give us.
don't. Sure. So I rely on clients, for keeping track of revenue. We don't really track revenue. I mean, it's kind of on the client's end. We don't. I mean, everybody uses a different booking software. So like, in order for us to automatically track revenue, like a lot of my customers don't even. I have some customers that don't even use anything, right? And then certain things like House Call Pro. So for us to be able to track revenue like automatically for a client, we have to be able to tie into their CRM. And here's a good example for House Call Pro. You have to be on the top tier package. So now they have to pay like $300-400 a month or whatever it is for us to be able to have API access. And then we can look and see this call came from Google Ads. We closed a job for this person. It checks for the phone number, the email address. So we don't really. I rely on clients just telling me what their numbers are on a case by case basis. So we do not retract returns for clients automatically. Now, so I could just tell you from experience that what we have found with most of our clients is a 4 times return on investment is a good ROI. Now, we can absolutely get a much higher return on investment too, but now you're talking about landing really big jobs that significantly offset your return on investment. Like an average scenario. So let's just take an average number. I never like to give people best case scenario, but let's say that our cost per lead on Google is $50. Okay. And on average, you close 1 out of 3 calls, around 33%. $50 is a little bit high, but again, I'm trying to give you just a basic flat number. So in an average scenario, most of our clients are going to be around a $400 average job sale. Placed in California, I have a client in LA that's like $950. But for the most part, $400 return on investment. You're paying about $450. You're paying $50 a lead. You close 1 out of 3. They're spending $150 to make $450. So you're about a 3 times return on investment, right? So now, and then there's going to be a lot of cases where you get leads for sub $40 in the $30 range. And again, like I said, I really do think closing 1 out of 3 is what most junk removal companies do. So, now, this is not something that also we don't necessarily automatically track. So I'll tell you exactly what I've done. I've spent a lot of time working with individual clients I don't charge people. I don't nitpick. I don't pinch pennies. I'm all about the results. So I have sat down, and I have clients that can testify to this. We'll just go back and listen. I'll sit and I'll listen to like 20 of their phone calls, and I'll send them a report, and I'll say, look, so we got 20 phone calls. Here's a spreadsheet. Did we answer the call? Why, N, yes or no? Did they book? Did they not book? Okay, so I've done this a bajillion times, but I'm just considering an average book rate to be, based on my experience doing that multiple times over the years, 33% is what we shoot for. And then clients will report their book rate to me too. It's pretty rare that we see 50, 60, 70% book rates. Once you factor in, there are a lot of things that are uncontrollable in a sense. For example, like if you don't have availability, right? If you get a call on a Friday at 4 p.m. and they say, oh, can you be here in an hour? It's a ridiculous expectation, and you're not going to close those people most of the time, right? So that's why I think that, most companies don't book 60, 70% of their calls. But an average scenario, if you're getting leads for $50, you close 1 out of 3. You're spending $150 for a paying customer with an average job sale of $450, around 3 times return on investment. Get our cost per lead down, to where we're getting $100 cost per acquisition, which is very realistic. And you have an average job sale of $400, $450, 4 times return on investment. I'm doing my best here to give you an average rundown.
I got you, bro. I got you. What do you guys think, Mr. Yee? What's your whole thoughts with Google Ads and all that? And have you ever messed with them? I know you've been in junk removal 5 years and all. Have you had experience with that?
No, I don't really participate in Google Ads at this time. I just feel that, People need to learn trials and errors, and before you get into paying for leads, you should be well seasoned and know what works for you. And it's the people who jump into these ad campaigns and try things without doing the hard work that junk removal takes, because junk removal takes a lot of hard work. And there's a lot of people out here who don't want to do the hard work. And that's just the point. You're going to pay. And it's just there's a certain time when maybe junk removal, ads are needed when you want to scale. And I think that your business will tell you when it's time.
Let me ask you, Mr. Yee, when is that, bro? Like, when do you think is that time? Is it something that you should even be talking about in the first year or two? Like a guy like me, or do I focus on organic? Do I do it both? Like, what's the answer with that?
I think honestly, you shouldn't. Uh, uh, Junk removal. I mean, Google Ads should be the last thing you should jump on,
Why?
because you're gonna if you want to scale, you're gonna have to reach a bigger audience. And you should learn, you should work hard and build an audience. Then when you want to scale, then you start to cover all angles. But if you jump head first into the pool and don't even know how deep it is, you're headed for self-destruction, as I see with yourself. You're less than 2 years in junk removal and you're already belly up. And it's just because you didn't put the hard work in. You hated junk removal, so therefore you went to the marketing. Just like with other people who have started other things, you know what I mean? And I'll say it, Andrew Autopilot, he mentioned he hated junk removal too, but he doesn't do junk removal, he does autopilot, which is helping a lot of people out with CRM. But you know what I mean, I think he put the hard work in, and that's what it takes. So he kind of knows junk removal. And when I see a guy like you, I think you don't know anything about junk removal. I think that you know the market. You know that
Well,
there's a
that's what I'm
sucker.
here to talk about. I don't know
Yeah,
where I claim to any of you guys that I was some junk removal guru that owns a junk removal business that does 5 million a year.
because I think well, if you go to the junk expo, you'll see people who make that. But I think people are going to say, how could you be into a marketing campaign when you don't love junk removal and you really don't
That's
really know
ridiculous.
about junk
The
removal?
argument you
No,
guys
see,
are trying
I
to
don't
make,
I don't agree with that, Mr.
the
Yee.
art,
I agree with Josh with that, where if you figure out marketing, that works, in any home business, and it will be able to apply. The thing that I'm just not sold on yet is, how did Josh learn marketing so quick that he can go and, show
yeah. Well, let
others
me
when
let
there's
me give you an answer to that.
okay.
So,
Well, I
in my
asked you
opinion,
that. I
go ahead.
asked you that. I
Yeah,
asked you
but you
that
keep
earlier.
both of you guys keep reverting back to this. I'm not sold on you because you're junk removal, dude. I don't fucking care if you believe me or not. I don't.
Because I'm
I'm
waiting to
invited
hear
on
you
this. I'm
produce
invited
results,
on this
bro.
show.
But bro,
Hey,
Josh,
let's talk
I'm
about
asking
Google
Josh,
Ads.
Josh,
Let's talk
Josh. Let
about
me
Google Ads.
let me talk, bro. If you're gonna say that, let me explain why, bro. Because I asked you how much you made the first year. You told me
Mhm.
240,000 you grossed, and then you kept 40,000. That does not make sense to me. And then you told me that you don't do junk removal after that. You went to marketing because you got screwed over 5 times and you were getting tired of screwing 5 times. So you went and started teaching how to do it. So
No, no,
that's
no,
where I'm saying,
no.
okay, bro, when
That's
did you
not
show
okay.
some results that you should be coaching or
I
teaching
started doing
anybody?
it for myself. I specifically said this. So while I was running my junk removal business, I started spending my own money on ads. I started buying courses. I learned how to do it before I started taking money from anybody to do anything. So, and because we naturally just got such great results, people started referring me in the groups and stuff. So I'm not claiming, I never have claimed to be this junk removal expert, and I'll show you how to build a $5 million a year junk removal business. I chose to focus on Google search ads. Okay. And the vast majority of my clients have been junk removal, dumpster rental, and demolition companies. And we get better results than some of the biggest agencies that you can hire. I could name drop all of them, but I'm not going
Well,
to.
we don't need to know the names. What I keep asking, I'm trying to get, and we keep getting around about is what are the average results these guys are getting, that's making them stay with you. That's all we're asking, brother.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to I'm not trying to like throw you under the bus or say you're not qualified.
That's the point that I'm trying to get at. There's a lot of marketers that will sell people things they don't need. Okay, so let's be clear on that. So, like for example, okay, there's a lot of when we talk about marketing, it's such a broad thing. It's no secret to me that people hate marketers. It's no secret. But when we talk about, I got burned by this guy, I got burned by that guy, for what? Did you buy a website off of somebody? Did you give somebody $1,000 to build you a website that didn't generate any leads? Well, I could have told you that would happen as a brand new business, right? So like there's so many different things we could talk about with marketing. And I don't think I've given you the runaround whatsoever. I have years of experience doing this. I've worked with close to 200 businesses, the vast 160 something and some change, whatever. The vast majority of them have been junk removal and dumpster rental businesses. Most of my clients have hired numerous agencies in the past and they've stayed with me. So that should say something about the work that I do. And unlike a lot of these other marketers, I care about the fucking results. So that's my background. I mean, I'm sorry if you want me to tell you that I grew this $2 million junk removal business,
but
and
Josh,
learn from me and do everything that I say. I'm not going to do
Josh,
that. I've never done that.
What I'm trying to figure out, man, and I'm looking at it from my standpoint, bro. I'm saying in my head, if I came to you with $10,000 right now to start my Google ads and everything, when would I get to see the results and what results would I expect?
Well, that's a different question. So generally speaking, a good performing Google Ads campaign, we're going to achieve a 10% click-through rate. That's kind of what we shoot for. And a lot of times we're able to get, we shoot for 25% conversion rate. Okay. So if you were to ask me, well, if I give you this budget, how many leads do you think I can give you? I can give you a direct answer by looking at Google's keyword planner. I can give you a direct answer, but I don't feel like you've asked me a direct question. This is where other marketers do. They'll get on here. They'll tell you on average, our clients do this X, Y, and Z and make this much money. I try not to do that. Okay. If somebody asks me, how much money am I going to make? I'm going to give them a layout and explain the different things that can affect how much money you can make. The truth of the matter is, whether you want to hear it or not, you are responsible for your return on investment. All I can do is give you a growth platform to help build on your foundation. I cannot promise you're going to make a 7 times return on investment on average. I told you that an average return on investment, we would consider to be 4 times return on investment to be a good, which is average, but I don't mean average like it's not good. I mean, that's what most guys get.
So like within the first 30 days, like
within the first day or two. I think it's a myth when people say that Google Ads takes 3 months to get working. Our clients start getting calls in a day or two. I literally build people's campaigns. I purchase tracking numbers. I build a landing page. I purchase Click Fraud Defender. I set everything up for free for 30 days. So we're able to get results. Now, I will tell people in full transparency, there's a lot of things it does, because Google Ads is all about analyzing data. That's what it's really all about, is analyzing data. So naturally, when we first start out, it's not going to be a home run like it's ever going to be. But we start getting calls within 1 to 2 days. We've never built a Google Ads campaign that didn't generate results almost immediately. Now, when people talk about it takes time, well, it could take time to go from $55 a lead to $45 a lead, to go from $45 a lead to go, to $40 a lead. We have to figure out what days of the week convert best for you. What hours of the day are better converting for your campaign? Or there, is a woman on a Tuesday between the hours of 3 and 5 p.m. more likely to convert than a middle-aged male on a Saturday at 12 p.m. for example. I'm just giving you bare examples. Like just
how many?
So that's what we're trying to figure
Carson
out.
Carson wants to know, Josh, how many active clients do you have?
75.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, man.
So Josh, what are the costs? Are you taking a percentage of the Google ad spend?
No, I charge $400 flat fee. I don't punish people for wanting to spend more money. Now, there are certain. Here's something that's important to understand. I don't white label. Okay, a lot of marketers white label. So what that means is that we're taking your money, and somebody in the Philippines is doing it for $2 an hour, and they're charging you $800 a month. And the person that's actually working on your ads has no idea what they're doing. I am building your ads. Me, every customer I have ever had, I am the one building their campaign. I am the one building your landing pages. Now I have a twin brother that works for me full time. He helps me with certain things, but he's not a shot caller on any, So,
Okay.
but we don't outsource anything. Okay. So I think that to answer your question, why so many marketers get a bad rep, but Josh is all of a sudden the holy grail. I don't sell this as a silver bullet. I don't sell this as a holy grail. I spend more time trying to talk people out of it than talking them into it. I think Google Ads is such an underrated tool. It's so powerful.
And
And I
they say this
understand.
right here, local junkers. That's John Aguirre. He says Google Ads works. 8K profit after ad spent this month.
Is that
And
he's
then
in
Abel says up here, he says anyone can learn. I took a 7K SEO course that most of the big SEO guy took. It's not rocket science. You need someone who has a passion for marketing and someone who has integrity. And I just want to let everybody know, I got to say this before you go, Mr. Yee. The reason why I saw Josh, man, was just because so many people in Facebook groups were saying how great his work was. So I don't want this to come across as, like we're discrediting him or anything. We're just asking those hard questions that a lot of people in the community want to bring up to these guys in marketing. It's nothing personal against Josh, but I just got to make that clear. The reason why he's on here is because there was so many people that were saying that when he handles their Google Ads, they're doing very well.
And hopefully, Josh, this brings you a lot more business. So that's why we're asking these questions.
I'm going to be hitting you up straight
So
up.
there you go. So Josh, what does the $400 for your situation cover?
Can I call you at midnight?
Can you call me at midnight?
Oh, what the fuck? That sounds like P. Diddy, like. What's
Go
up
ahead,
with
Josh.
that?
Go ahead,
Fuck
Josh.
no. So
There you
now
go.
because I have so many customers, we ask people to use Slack. So you can message me at any time, but it's unrealistic for me to take calls at any time. But that is another thing, too. We're available. I mean, you can get answers. I talk to clients every fucking day. So, we don't put people through a ticketing system or not respond to them on the weekends. So the $400 a month, I mean, it covers everything. But I try to be very reasonable.
What
Hold on.
is
I
everything?
don't mean to cut you off, but this is a good one for you, Josh. Here we go. Abel says, Josh, let me be a guinea pig. I would love to see $40 to $50 leads. Let's do it
What
monthly
market?
check-in and update
Junk
live
removal.
right here.
Dumpster
No.
rentals.
What area?
He's down by
Temecula,
Temecula in
California,
SoCal.
Southern
Man,
California.
Hot
might be
area.
taken already. I got to see.
Okay, so we'll follow up with that though, because that would be amazing for you, brother,
Honestly,
if we
I
could
didn't come
do a
in here to
live
get
update.
clients, man. I'll be honest with you. I almost turned down 80%. I don't even run ads for junk removal or try to get junk removal. I came on here to be informative, answer some tough questions. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of room. There's only so many major markets in the country. I mean, 90% of the time.
I'm gonna vouch for Abel. This guy, he's doing it at a large scale. This is one of the top guys out in the country, man. So I think this would be a good move for you, brother, like strategically. And it'd be really cool if we could kind of do like a up to date and kind of track it and see it.
Yeah, well, I'd love to. I have to check if we have someone in the area, though. We don't run ads for more than one company per area, any situation.
How do you feel about Amish country in Pennsylvania?
Sorry?
Amish country in Pennsylvania, how do you feel like your ads are going to do?
Not good.
Oh, man, damn. Because Adam was ready to, I think, buy in, bro. He was ready to try out.
What counties? What counties is
He's
Amish
in Lebanon,
country?
right?
Or am I not going to have any fucking clue?
So I'm right next to Lancaster County. We got the horses running that down the street every day here.
So this is one of the things that when I opened up with, I said that I kind of tend to babble a little bit and go off track. I apologize, but none of the marketers want to talk about the drawbacks. Okay, and one of the drawbacks of Google Ads is it is solely dependent on search volume. A lot of marketers love to live in a world where they say, show up at the top of Google, we'll get you, grow your business, and anytime someone looks for dumpster rental near me, your ad's going to show up. What fucking good does that do if there's only 500 searches a month? I mean, let's just do the math. If I were to look in your county, I have no idea. I want to be clear. I'm not looking at a computer. I want to be clear. Let's say we wanted to advertise for junk removal. We pull a search for Lancaster County or wherever it is, whatever counties you serve. and we see that there's, let's say, 700 searches a month. Let's do 800. It's even. It's going to be easier for me to do off the top of my head. We get a good click-through rate on our ads, a 10% click-through rate, which is not stellar, but it's not terrible. It's good. 10% click-through rate, that's going to bring us to 80 clicks. A 25% conversion rate, which is good but not stellar, that's going to bring us to 20 calls a month. If you close half of your calls, you're going to get 10 jobs a month. That is not going to get you a second truck. So when I say that I don't think it would be good results, I think a lot of the time people like turn to Google Ads. I feel like they're hoping, like, well, if we invest a bunch of money with Google, we're going to be able to get a second truck. We're going to be doing 3 to 4 jobs a day, right? And a lot of times that's just not a reality. Most of the time, Google's going to be a tool in your toolkit. See, every company has a certain amount of leads they need to get based on your book rate. And a lot of times, especially in a rural market, Google Ads alone, even with a website, right? Like, we're talking Google in general, not even just ads. If there's limited search volume in your area, there's going to be a limited number of leads that you can realistically get. If there's 800 searches a month, you are not going to get 10 calls a day from Google. It's not possible. It doesn't matter how much you're willing to pay me. It doesn't matter how much you're willing to spend on ads. You're going to be limited by search volume. Now, sometimes in a rural market, because there's less competition, you can get a significantly higher click-through rate. So my numbers could be off a little bit, right? If you get a 15% click-through rate, boom, that's going to fluctuate the numbers. A lot of times in a more rural market, the cost per click is going to be significantly lower due to lack of competition. So higher click-through rate, sometimes we can get a higher conversion rate since there's less options in the area. So, of course, that can all influence it. So I'm not saying you're stuck to only getting XYZ leads per month, but that is an honest reality that not a lot of people talk about. Search volume is, even guys who sell websites and SEO and stuff. I mean,
Well, Josh, I just want to let you know, bro, you are picking up so many people here. So we have Phoenix, Arizona, also John Aguirre over there. He's down to do the experiment over there.
Yeah, I've talked to John before. I'd be happy to work with him. I think he messaged me and we just disconnected somewhere.
Boom, John. So John, if you could connect with him and then, you know, we could kind of like, you know, document this and all, that would be an amazing thing for everybody, especially like myself. I'm trying to learn this.
Josh, is Phoenix a hot market?
Yeah, I think it's a good market. It's expensive. It's going to be more expensive. And I only say this because I have worked in the market prior with the junk removal company. And at the time, I don't want to guarantee any specific numbers, but I know that we had a long-standing account in Phoenix, and they would go to Mesa, and we were getting leads for sub $40, $35 leads.
Wow.
Nice.
You work with anyone in Massachusetts? Sean wants to know.
All over the place, man. So, like, some cities are just going to ring a bell and be like, yeah, I'm there. But sometimes I have to check. So
okay, because that might be what I think the reason why he's asking is I think all these guys want to try you out, man. So,
sure.
You know, definitely hit them up and let them know. So where can people get in touch with you and, you know, reach out to you?
Yeah. So my website is under construction. I'm like rebuilding it right now. So it looks like crap. But you can go to my website. You can check it out. You can book a call with me on there. But, you know, there's a lot of filler text and stuff. We're working on the homepage, working on making our blogs like easier to read. But that's something that people should check out. I do have some blog posts on there that are just free content or helpful. Or you could just go on my Facebook page. It's Josh Hollinsworth with a check mark. That's my business page. Or you can just message me personally on Facebook. That's how most people reach me, I would say.
Very cool.
You can go to my website. Just keep in mind it's under construction. So.
Well, it's now time to get to the elephant in the room, man. And that is, let's address the whole mess going on in the industry with the junk removal fugitive, Bernie Madoff of junk removal. It seems like Matt Fitch, where in the world are you, bro? Tap in, hit somebody up, answer back. So, guys, I just seeing just craziness everywhere. Everybody's looking for Matt, and you know, I'm hearing all these crazy stories, and you know, as the days go by, the posts are getting more aggressive and people are really starting to get mad. A lot of people didn't realize that he's been MIA for the last 3 months because I guess they haven't checked in, but their bill is definitely showing they've been getting billed every month from him. So what is going on, guys? In the chat, let us know. I know a lot of people are involved with it. I believe Sean is in the house. Sean is one of the guys that I think really got duped pretty well. And I think I got a couple of comments. I think I took a few screenshots. So I kind of want to touch on this and everything. And
when
I
you
feel
look
like
those up, Why don't you look up your comments? I was just going to
Yeah.
say quickly, I haven't been following Matt for, I don't know, a year because he booted me out of whatever group he was owning or whatever, and then blocked me just because I simply told some people they really didn't have to pay $200 a day or whatever he was claiming on the posts. And it was just you couldn't have any banter back and forth. It was just immediate ban, block, gone. And then I reached out to another admin in the group who got me back in, and literally he found out somehow, even though he had me blocked, and got me booted again. So I know nothing about Fitch other than he's something that rhymes with his last name. Continue.
So we got one of the posts was from Sean Chavez, which he's in the chat right now. He says over 10K invested. And let me just read this out so we kind of got some context behind all this madness. He says, if you've been paying Matt Fitch, guess what? You're fucked. Call your banks and dispute these charges. My accountant is already on it. This guy has done shit the last 3 months except charge me $950 for absolutely nothing at all. No update drops, subscriptions with no notice. He knew he was done with SEO and still charges the card a few days ago. Fucking desperate piece of shit. Those of you that are showing compassion, you don't steal someone's money and not deliver. And then I think this was the answer back that he got. I don't know when this was, but it's from Matt's account and says, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking for a refund of the hosting services. You're only paying $250 a year for web hosting now, and your $950 marketing plan was canceled when you requested it. I just resent your website login credentials to you, or anyone else can manage the site moving forward. Your own domain and have administration access to your website so you can switch hosting providers if you choose to. We can't refund for previous months SEO services that have already been billed. So that's what seems to be going on. And what I'm taking from this is that, he has the passwords and controls, owns their websites. You know what I mean? And when I got my website done, I was told, you own your website, and, that was clear. And I was like, why are you making this clear? Because obviously a lot of people are just selling where they run your website. So you don't actually own it. So if you have a situation like this, now you got your hands full and everything. It's pretty crazy situation, man. But, has anybody found where he is or got any kind of answer, or does anybody know anything on here? Mr. Yee, have you heard anything about it? Or
I touched, I had a bunch of people messaging me, and I touched base with the very good guy, and you don't know what this guy's going through: death, relapse, divorce. You just never know. He might just want to just have some time to himself. So of course, it's the very hot topic right now of junk removal of another guru, but you just don't know. And if he did go MIA, you know what I mean? Hey, I hope he went to Thailand. You know what I mean? And living that life with that money, and go to Thailand and live your life and have fun. You know what I'm talking about?
Fuck no. You're giving this guy an easy out. There's no excuse for charging people if you're not doing the work.
yeah, I'm kind of with Josh on this one, man. There's a proper way to handle that.
Record, dude. I have refund. There's nobody that can come forward and say that I charge them. It's not excusable. I don't know Matt Fitch personally. I know that I'm not a fan of a lot of things he said, but that's not excusable. If you're going to stop, a lot of guys do turn to marketing and they stop. It's not easy, right? Just like running a junk removal business is way harder than everybody makes it out to be. Marketing is the same way, dude. Every business is like that. There's going to be things you don't learn until you start doing it. So that's not an excuse. You have a death in your family or whatever. If you're going to stop working on people's websites, you fucking stop charging them. I mean,
and what's up with the whole AI slapping now? Because I know he had that whole AI, and I know people were buying that. I think it was like a monthly membership, and I was part of that because with the Junk Expo, when I bought my tickets, that's part of it. I think you get a free trial with the slap AI. So I kind of was excited about that, and I'm kind of waiting, to try that out because I've been a big fan of AI and all.
What does it do?
It's made for junk removal. Matt made this, and it was, I don't know how it's made for it, but they were saying that it's, made for junk removal, and it's going to make our life a lot easier. And also, I was really, really looking forward to trying this out. So I hope that that's still happening and that Matt's going to do the right thing.
Is it like a chat widget or something?
I think it's like ChatGPT made just for junk removal. So I guess he puts in all the whatever the codes and all that to make it do different things. I don't know, bro, because I haven't tried it yet, but that's why I want to try it. Just like you want to get into it and like see it with this new toy that there is and all.
Yeah.
The other thing is, it's a lot of people are getting mad and all that because, him being like one of the guys at the Gurus, see, this is why, Josh, I didn't mean to come at you in any kind of way or whatever, but there's a lot of things that are just rubbing people wrong in junk removal. And I'm going to kind of just be the guy that's going to come out and say it, man, because, what's been going on is a lot of people, are selling services. And it comes like the in crowd, the clique, you know what I mean? And once you're in the clique, now you're kind of like friends with everybody. So now when there's something that doesn't work, just keep your mouth shut. But you just kind of keep your mouth shut because you don't want to get somebody that's in the in crowd mad. And I've kind of got into it a couple of times. I've said some things, because I'm honest. I'm going to stay straight up. I'm not here with no kickbacks. I'm not taking anybody's money on the side to say that your shit's good, because there's nothing that you could pay me that's going to make me lie. I'm a straight up dude and all that. And I'm not going to lie for a little kickback, but a lot of people seem to be cool with that. So what's going on now is these services and these people that are coming off as gurus, you come into an industry, you're taught to go learn from the best that are doing successful. So me being one of those guys, I start listening to all these gurus, and you just assume because they're put on a pedestal, they were a junk expo speaker, they're the guy that everybody goes to and all. He knows what he's talking about, and you're gonna follow his way. Well, I've got it where I followed their way and it was wrong, and I paid lots of money to learn, and then I've said things saying that this is wrong, and the other in crowd starts looking at you sideways, and now they have a problem that you have a problem because you're telling the truth. And that's where I'm not cool with this. And everybody in junk removal is scared to step on somebody's toes because that could happen. Well, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not doing that. That's why I did this show. If I'm going to offend people, it cost me thousands of dollars because I took that advice, and it was stupid ass advice. You know what I mean? So I'm like sick of it. So that's kind of why people are getting this way with a lot of the people that are called gurus now and everything. And that's why you're kind of like, Josh, you were just coming on just to come on, and it just happened to be at this time that's going on. So now everybody's being questioned that's a speaker or a guru in the industry. What is your guys' thoughts? I want to hear, Adam, what is your thoughts on this whole thing? Because I haven't really heard much from you on the whole thing.
I know I felt like a mime for a while here, I'll be honest. But I don't really know. I try not to speak on things I don't know a lot about, you know what I mean? And I think going back to like giving like him an out for this, okay? Like I've lived by this credo the entire time I've been open, and it's always been great, is that nobody's perfect, okay? But what I like to do is that if I fuck up, I like to make it right that good that even if that person is like bitching to their sibling about it, they're like, oh my God, well then what did he do? And then they say what I did. They're like, you better not ever speak ill about that motherfucker again. You know what I mean? Like, so like him bailing on everybody's just inexcusable because he's been billing them and hasn't been doing it. But yeah, man, I just don't get it, honestly.
Well, Carson wants to know. He asked me, what are some examples of who ripped you off, Paul? So it wasn't somebody that actually like ripped me off or whatever. What was told was I was following the ways of, what people were saying. So one of my questions was, should I get tracking numbers, individual on my truck? Should I get one for yard signs, a different one for my truck, a different one for every piece of marketing? And I was told, yes, 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 best thing, smartest thing to do and everything. Go and do all that, get my truck wrapped, different number on it and everything. Well, I had this phone call with Google, and I think they were like trying to market to me or whatever. And they brought it up. They're like, yo, you have different numbers everywhere. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I got the tracking numbers. And I was all proud to say this. Like, I figured shit out and everything. Well, they're like, well, bro, you're confusing Google majorly. Like, you're going to get your ranking knocked down because now you have different info everywhere. And that's pretty much basics. So now to go get everything right, I had to go and pay a directory that went all around to every friggin' listing that I ever had out there, because I'm putting them all over the place, but now they're all different. And I had to make sure that they were all made right. So, and that's taught from everybody. Here's another example. Yard signs. Everybody's like, yo, go put out yard signs. Best thing you could do. Everybody loves yard. You're going to make so much money with it. So, first couple of weeks, I put out 100 yard signs. I get a phone call, sheriff in the area. Yo, it's against the law, buddy. You can't be doing this. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is the worst way to come into a town to start business. And now you're like, you're getting the sheriff the phone call and everything. And I'm like, bro, like, what am I getting taught here and everything? And then, I said this and everything, and everybody's kind of like dismissed me. Like, I mean? Oh, well, they work for the most part. No, this is not the way to do things, man. And sometimes what I think is going on now that I'm thinking about, I think people are getting kickbacks on yard signs. Because there is. And I think people are selling that service also. So it's not, go get yard signs. They work 100% all the time, man. Go put them out everywhere.
Okay, can I jump in here for a second?
Yeah. What's up,
so my opinion with that, because here's the thing, and this is one of the cool things. Like, this is what I meant when I said I've learned more helping other companies than I ever could have for myself. I have customers that knock it out of the fucking park with yard signs, but they are illegal almost everywhere. So I feel like a lot of people give advice that on things that have worked for them, but it's not going to work that way for everybody. It's illegal pretty much everywhere. But I have a couple clients, specifically California. These guys will put a tracking number, they'll put a burner number on their yard sign. And
I got that too, bro. But the problem is with that is now the sheriff is still calling those tracking, and you're saying your name when you answer. What I mean?
Yeah, you're taking that risk, but I do think they work for a lot of people. They work. I mean,
but
you
it's
are
not.
taking the risk.
It's not an ethical thing when you're trying to do the right thing and be a business that's part of the community and trying to help out. And now you're going breaking the law and you're putting up these yard signs when you're not supposed to. And if you keep doing it, I mean, you're just, people are not going to look highly on it. And this is what's taught so much. You know what I mean? I think if you're going to teach that, you better tell them also that it is illegal. And if it is, don't be doing that shit. It's not going to help you. But I think my personal thoughts is there's kickbacks going on. I think these marketing places are hitting up all the big gurus and they're getting a kickback for how many yard signs. Yo, use my code, bro. You get a code. You get it there. So that's their little kickback, and they'll tell you anything, man. You know what I mean? And I'm sick of it, and I'm pissed at it. And I came at one of the YouTube guys, but I'm here to learn. I'm not here with no motives. I'm not trying to make $5 kickbacks here. I'm trying to get truth so we can make millions of dollars, big business. Not trying to sell people on fake shit just because I'm going to get a $5 kickback and I'm going to tell you that it works. We need to stop that, guys. We really do. We make enough money in junk removal to tell the truth. Be honest with people. You don't need to lie. You know what I mean? Let's find the truth, what really works. What do we really need to spend on? You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's what this show is for, to get the truth. And, you can be truthful here. And, a lot of people just don't want to say the truth, or they're just, afraid to admit it. And, that's just it, and, there's a lot of.
Let me give another example. Now that I'm fun. I'm feeling spicy right now, man.
There you go.
So another guy that was in there that was, the guru and everything was Ivan, the dude Ivan from Sacramento and everything. And, everybody was following him. And, and then one day I just remember Ricky putting him out on blast, bro, and being like, yo, what the hell, man? This dude is saying, do this, do this, do this. And then Ivan goes and puts out this video of like breaking down in his car, like practically crying, saying everything he's been doing doesn't work. He can't afford to keep doing it this way. And I'm just sitting there listening like, oh my God, bro, you are the guy that's been teaching everybody. You're at the expo, you're a speaker, you're making every video every day of saying, want to make this much money, we're going to do this. And then you just had a breakdown and you got on video. And Ricky pointed this out. And I couldn't believe it. And he's like, everything that you were teaching, you were saying how it wasn't working for you. And you were having like a meltdown. And I actually hit him up that day. And I was like, yo, bro, I would take that down, bro. That's not that smart. I mean, you're a speaker. I was following this dude before then, like, oh shit, taking notes, like, this is somebody I should follow and everything. And then when I saw this breakdown in the car, I'm like, oh my God, bro, what am I following here right now? This guy's like emotional wreck right here. And he's out of junk removal now. He's not even in it.
And it's going to be clear, he's out of marketing too.
So, you know what I mean? Like, guys, we got to be careful of who we're putting up on this platform. We got to be careful of who we're just giving our money to. You could really put yourself in a bad situation. And it's, I'm putting myself in my shoes. When I came into this, I was the guy that would just throw money at everything and think that's the way to go. Well, I learned real quick in junk removal, everybody's trying to get in your pocket. So I just held on to my money. I'm like, yo, I'm not paying for anything because I don't know what's real, what's not. But everybody keeps trying to tell me they know the answer and get in my pocket. So I just was like, dude, I can't be like my normal self and just throw money at this and figure it out like that. And I think a lot of people come into junk removal and they're getting fooled. They're getting people telling them that aren't, who they're supposed to be, or claim to be. These gurus, man. And, it's really, Denise Sparks said it to me today in one of the groups. She's like, I was kind of worried about you for a while. And I was like, yo, Denise, I was drinking the Kool-Aid and didn't even know I was drinking the Kool-Aid. It ain't happening no more now. Now I'm second questioning everybody that came out. That's why I came at you, Josh. That's why I said what I said today, because I'm thinking in my head as you're telling me all this.
That's the problem. Everybody that you're mentioning is somebody that said, we did this with our junk removal. You guys, people buy into that. See,
but hold on. I just want to make this one last point. Josh, I just want to make this one point of why I came at you today. So when you're telling me this, I'm thinking in my head, like, I'm like, my mind is speaking and it's going, yo, why is this guy teaching? He's pretty brand new and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to say it. And then I realized, yo, I'm on my damn Unfiltered show, the show that I'm trying to make real. And I'm not being real with myself right now. Yo, bro, what's up, Josh? I got to call you out right now, buddy. And that's why, I did what I did, bro, Yeah,
but see, you made me out to be this guy that's teaching everybody. I didn't do that. I never.
No. I didn't make you out to be the guy to teach it. I was just saying
all these guys that are.
But Josh, let me just put you in my shoes, bro, so I understand, because you're close to where I am, bro. I'm at that green point where I'm only 6 months in junk removal, so I feel like if I would have went another 6. Hold on, hear me out, bro. Hear me out, dog. If I would have did another 6 months and would be in 1 year, and then I decide, all right, bro, I figured this out. I'm going to go and start teaching people, but I haven't actually made money in junk removal yet because I only made 40 grand out of the 240 that I brought in and everything. But I feel confident enough because I got burnt 5 times before this with other marketing that I figured out, what I need to do and I could start teaching other people. So I'm just saying in my head, like, how am I qualified to be that guy? You know what I mean? That's what all I was trying to say with that.
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't teach anybody anything. I'm not trying to do. I don't have a YouTube. I don't have a YouTube channel. I mean, if I was just out to get people's money, I wouldn't offer free trials. There wouldn't be people that are, that's my problem with what you guys are saying, because you're making fun of all these gurus that you listen to, and they really were fucking frauds. But then the first thing you do is you accuse me of not knowing how, making all kind of assumptions, saying that, you're new at this. Your junk removal business, you only did it for like a year. But that's what's funny, is that all the guys you guys are making fun of were the guys that sold you on a dream and made it out to be fucking amazing.
Well, what I usually do, bro, I just so you understand, when I go into different industries, man, and this is the newest one. I've been in the hip hop industry, and when found the top record labels, got locked in with one of them, and went against Live Nation, used to sign the rappers checks and everything. So what I've learned, bro, is you learn from the top in any industry you get, because those are the guys that are doing it successful, and they have a track record that you could see. So like the guy that I teamed up with, bro, he was worth $100 $150 million. You see it. You see how he lives. You see the different houses he has, the cars, the everything, bro. So you understand this guy has made success. So when I come into an industry, I'm looking for the little details. I'm not listening to what they say. Because everybody, if you listen to them, they're a superstar in their head. But it's the little details that tell me if they're telling the truth or not. How are they living? The different things they have, So that's when I come in. I'm sizing everybody up with that now. And in junk removal, it's the same thing. If you're being so successful and, you had the successful junk removal business and you sold it within a year or two, that's weird to me, first off. That you did that, because if it was that successful, I would think you would keep that cash pot going, and then keep going open the marketing to go with that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say, man. You would see somebody's success and be like, it makes sense. That's why I would learn from this guy. This guy's got, $1 million junk removal business going on. Makes sense, right?
I get it, but I've never claimed it. That's what I'm saying. You can't find anything anywhere of me claiming that I did.
No, it's not. No, I didn't say claiming any. I wasn't even like making it personal to you. I'm just giving an example of what I would do when I go into an industry of how I find the guys that you should follow. And the reason why I'm really harping on this and keep saying this is so that the people in the chat start doing the same thing. They don't just assume because somebody says they're this person or they speak on a stage that person you should trust, and you should definitely be like, oh, well, they're successful in it. Look more into the details.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Exactly, man.
I've run ads for a couple large YouTube channels. I definitely am not going to say names, but I've worked with a couple of them. I've seen some stuff. A lot of these guys are blowing smoke. I mean, they're just not selling what's real. But unfortunately, that's because people, whether you think it or not, or you can admit it or not, people listen to what they want to hear. They don't want to listen to what they don't want to hear. And that's why these guys are so successful. Matt Fitch, I mean, so many guys are like, oh, I love this guy. Yeah, let's give this guy our money. He's really full of shit the whole time, but he positions himself as somebody that, does this, and his business is crazy. And, those are the guys people want to listen to.
Yeah. I think there's a lot. I think Matt's just getting the brute of it this week, but I think there's a lot of guys that are doing that in this industry, man. I really do. And I think a lot of people are starting to getting a little mad, and they're starting to like hold them out on it and everything. And, because I see every day you see somebody else, a new coach out there or, something. And then, like I said, people aren't giving these people the results, and, it comes out a couple of months later, and then you always hear the horror stories. Oh, I was paying them so-and-so for this much time. I spent $20,000 with them, but I didn't get no results. And then I'm like, when I'm hearing these numbers, and I'm just like, I didn't know it was this much money that people are going and putting into this. When I'm seeing, Steve saying 10,000 that, Matt's taken from somebody else's 20,000, you're just like, oh my God, bro. Like, that is just crazy, man. Like, but
big
Mr. Yee, man, talking, man. You're not talking much tonight, bro. My co-host, man. I know I've been on one tonight. So
I think Josh is obviously he has a good following and he has a high clients. He has 75 people he works with. Is big in the game, and he's obviously good at the marketing side of helping your business on Google, and you got to give it to him there. You know what I mean? And I give it to you there, and it's just. There's a lot of people on Facebook, and Paul, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of bullshit on Facebook where there's a sucker born every day. And if you're going to give some guy $10,000 or $20,000, you must have a lot of money that you could just fuck off like that, because average junk removal person doesn't have that type of money. They barely have a dump trailer. So, you know what I mean? You have to learn, crawl before you walk, and that's just with any business. A lot of people just want to play Monopoly and go all the way to go and collect the money, not knowing you got to go all the way around the board. You got to hit every step, and make sure you don't land on go straight to jail. So those are code enforcement you got to watch out for. Those are law, all this type of stuff. And junk removal, you really have to be this. If you're in junk removal, it is a long-term game. You know what I mean? That's just it. If you're as you're witnessing, Paul, you know what I mean? It takes a lot to learn. And you are gifted, Paul, to learn all these things from a lot of people that you talk to. And you know, you're actually one of the smart ones who says, "Hey, I don't want to work harder. I want to work smarter. I'm gonna go get a fucking a hot tub sled. I fucking should have got one myself. I'm waiting for my guy to send me one." But anyways, you know what I mean? Why not have all the right tools and look the right way? And you know what I mean? Start there. But there's a lot of people who just can't do that. And if you want to pay for Google ads, Yelp ads, Facebook ads, go ahead, handle your business, but let it be like training wheels. Let it be training wheels until you master it. You know what I mean? If you have someone who is teaching this, make sure you watch every one of their moves. Make sure you watch what they're doing and ask questions and know everything about it and not be that person like maybe what Josh was saying was like, I didn't know shit. I was paying for this, but I didn't know shit. I didn't learn what the fuck. I lost all this money. So if you're paying for situations, make sure you're asking questions, you're getting reports, you are getting straight knowledge, and soak it up. This business could be so profitable if you just keep it simple. But if you do want to scale, if you do want to scale to like big Russ Berry right there, if you want to scale to Russ Berry's level over there, you gotta you gotta experience all angles of the game and see what works for you. But you gotta pay to play if you want to, you know what I mean, get those multiple trucks and handle your business. But are you ready for the big dog role? Are you ready for that? How you doing, Russ?
What's up, everyone? I just wanted to say what's up to Josh because I've never actually talked to him. I've only messaged with him, and I've always had great interactions with Josh. Josh is actually pretty smart on a lot of stuff. So I just want to say what's up, Josh.
I
And Adam,
appreciate that, man.
yeah, and all and Paul and hey, Paul, by the way, I just had a conversation with the package you sent me, and
Oh
the
boy.
shirt is very nice. I just want to say the shirt is very nice.
So John just said, I want to make this clear. He said I did 70K profit with Ivan before he shut down. So Ivan was putting out some good results for John over there.
On
And
what sales?
John tracks his numbers real good. You said sales, bro?
Yeah, on what sales? What'd you do 70 grand on?
Okay. So Russ is in the room, guys. Russ is he's the OG here, and so Josh, obviously you guys have talked before and everything. We were just getting into Russ and kind of just talking about like all the gurus and the different services, and you know we were just getting into the whole topic. You know, Matt Fitch is obviously disappeared, and a lot of people are not happy with it. A lot of people are saying that they're out a lot of money and all, and I was just kind of like telling everybody, you kind of just gotta, judge for yourself. Don't just start handing people money and everything. Really get to know people and really get to know they really know what they're talking about.
Well, I think when it comes to a lot of the guys that like do marketing and all of that stuff, you got to remember that most of the people that get into junk removal, and I don't say this in a negative way, so I don't want anyone to jump down my throat, but they're not of the highest intelligence. And so what they see is they see all these people coming out. Oh, I made $17,000 this month, and the average junk removal owner makes $175,000 to $225,000. I know maybe 3 junk removal owners that make $175,000 to $225,000 a year, but they sell $900,000 a year. So a lot of the stuff that the new people come in who have never done businesses, who have watched a couple of videos and was like, well, fuck, I can do that. I can move a couch. I did it when I was 18. They just think that, what some people in their 30s, 40s, 20s, and 60s are saying is gold. And most of the YouTube videos are bullshit, just like most of the shit you hear from marketers are bullshit. No one has ever, Josh is one of the few ones that I will say is actually said to people, same way with Blake Short said the last time, is SEO takes time. And you have to understand that you're going to lose money in the beginning. And if you and he has those conversations with people, where some people like Matt Fitch and some of the other guys, they don't, they just tell you, oh, it's $2,000 a month, I'll get you to the first page here and we're going to do well, but they don't tell you it's going to take 6 to 12 months. So
Right.
the one thing that I would say, that when you talk to these guys, if you're trying to figure out who to use, one, look at the guys who are above you. Okay. If I'm using Paul as my Google guy and I'm doing $1 million a year, then the people who are trying to look to do $1 million a year or even $100,000 a year should look to the guys that are doing it and saying, who are you using? Because I don't want to do the work if I don't have the brains on what to do with a junk removal company, and I'm only looking at what YouTube tells me. I'm not going to know the questions to ask a marketer because I've never fucking done this before. And the marketer isn't going to go out of their way and give you more information than you're asking for, because it's going to shoot themselves in the dick and they're not trying to lose money. So you're in a battle of someone who knows the outcome, and they're selling to someone who has no clue what the fuck is happening. Look at the people who have been doing it a long time, who they use, and the guys that have been in the business the longest, right? JRA's been doing this. I've been with them for 7 years, right? They obviously know what they're doing. They're not cheap, but they don't work for everybody. And then you have guys that'll do it for $200. Well, I mean, fuck, what is the guy at $200? What am I gonna do with him? I mean, fuck, he doesn't even know what he's doing. You know, he probably can't even sell search engine optimization, but he's gonna sell me for $200. You know,
Yeah.
and then ask them, where do they get all their knowledge from? Because I think a lot of the guys that really know what they're doing, Josh has done a lot of research into this and done, Facebook videos and YouTube videos, and looked and searched and talked to people that have done it, right? But I could tell you that I know how to run Google ads, and I probably know more than half of the marketing guys out here that are trying to sell it to you. So should I just go out and start a marketing ad agency? No, it's bullshit what most of them sell. And anybody that comes across and says, I can, for $10,000, I'll just give you an idea of the cost of $10,000, and you guys, your audience, can make the decision. You spend $10,000 on a 10-page pamphlet, or you spend $10,000 in coaching for 2 years with a guy that's got $1 million business in junk removal. At the end of the day, which one do you think is a better fit and is going to do better for you?
The guy.
Obviously, the coach.
Yeah.
But the problem is that people think that, oh, I just got a fucking couple pieces of paper. You know what? If anybody out there wants to know how to run a junk removal company, go to ChatGPT and say, write me a program on how to write a junk removal company, and it'll tell you. And you don't even need to know what the fuck you're doing. Just go to ChatGPT, have the thing printed off, and start selling it. You know what the fuck you're doing. I mean, it's the same thing as what half the guys are doing now.
Bro, you're gonna have a bunch of coaches and gurus coming out next week. What are you doing?
That's fine. They can come on. I don't mind. But and I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying, but I'm not talking about coaches and gurus. Or coaches and mentors. I'm talking about the marketing guys. The coaches and mentors are the ones that are telling you the right things to do that got them to where they're going. The marketing guy is telling you what he's never done to sell you a product that likely isn't going to have the results that he's telling you they're going to have. So it's a completely different thing. The coaches and the gurus, the Sky Lanes, the Xaviers, the Matts, the Me's, the guys that have, built a business and have sustained it for a long time, yeah, go for it. But some of the guys that have been doing it for, less than, say, 18 months, that are going to come out here and tell you, I can coach you how to be a mentor. You haven't even fucking done a tax return yet. How the fuck you going to coach anybody, and you haven't even filed a tax return on a business, and probably don't even know what a Section 179 deduction is, and you're going to go out there and tell all these guys how to run a business? The business isn't picking shit up and putting it in a truck. The business is fucking numbers. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And that's just the way I see it. And so the coaches can talk the numbers, but marketing guys won't get into that with people. They're not honest like we are, unfortunately. Most of them.
So
Russ is
I
here.
like what Russ said right there with the whole find the guys that are doing it big, and then who are they hiring? Who's controlling their Google ads? I like that, man, because it's they have proven success. You've seen it happen. They've scaled to that big size. That makes sense to me.
Well, think of it this way: if I'm got junk, or I'm Junk King, or I'm Junk Luggers, and now most of those guys have internal their own internal people. Some will do Google ads outside. I think they were using ClickGeeks. I think Got Junk was using ClickGeeks or something like that for a while. But a lot of that stuff is all inside. But if they were using ClickGeeks, Got Junk was obviously with them. It's the largest franchise. Why the fuck wouldn't you go ask to at least have the conversation with them and say, hey, what does it cost to do? Obviously they're successful or they wouldn't have the largest junk removal company using them. So they obviously know what they're talking about. Same thing with like Xavier. Xavier's doing stuff for Got Junk. Probably knows what the fuck he's talking about if they're going to take a shot on him. You know what I mean?
I think
So-
Xavier actually wrote a program for them. I
Yeah.
believe he did. Yeah, he made it something
Right.
for them.
So are you going to use that guy? Or are you going to use the guy that's like, I've been doing this for 5 years or 5 months. I sold my company for 200 grand. And now I'm going to tell you how to do it. No, fuck. If you have a company printing $200,000 a year, you ain't selling that motherfucker. What the fuck you selling it for? You just pay someone $75,000 a year and go start another one. I mean, you would never sell it.
Oh, and Russ, John answered up above, and he said that it was on the mass text blast
Yeah.
campaigns that he did. He made $70K in 1 year for that.
Okay. Well, again, profited $70K. If he's an owner operator, he probably wrote 100 grand on that, which is still really good. If you can get a retargeting campaign for texting, that's exceptional. But I would also forewarn everybody that does that. It really is state dependent, and you will seriously get fucked up if you do this in Florida, because in Florida, it is illegal for you to text somebody without their permission, and they will fine you. So if you start, mass texting just a phone book, you're going to get fucked over in some states. So don't do that. But you can text the people in your database.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
what Ivan always would
Yeah.
teach, is that with the catalog, you would go and do the mass blast from that. Russ, have you ever did that? Have you?
Yeah.
And what's the results that you seen with that?
So I can't tell you. It was before I really started getting into like job tagging and everything. So I can't really give you any real hardcore numbers. But I can tell you that we would always get probably 2 to 3 jobs a week off of it. Most of the jobs that you get off of it are smaller jobs. So don't expect, you're going to send out a mass text blast. I'm in your area, and Mary's going to call you up and be like, hey, I was thinking about having my full truck done on Saturday. That's not what it is. It's usually, $150 to $250 schedule fillers. That's what I call them. They're just in between jobs, half truck. You throw this quarter truck in, you dump, go to the other, you know what I mean?
So Russ, what do you think about Facebook ads? And are you running Facebook ads?
I don't run ads. I don't run Facebook ads.
Is there any particular reason?
So it's like what Blake said earlier, right? In certain areas they may work, in certain areas they don't. I've never had success with them in my areas as the ad part. So the ads are completely different than group posts. Ads are paid and you have to pick your demographic. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you're going to run into a problem, right? So in Facebook ads, you have, in my area, visiting my area, stuff like that. If you just put the United States, how many of you guys have seen a junk removal ad for someone in Phoenix and you live in
so many.
California?
Yeah.
And it's because the person who set the ads up doesn't know what the fuck they're doing because they're just spamming the whole thing. And then it skews. Oh, you had 17,000 people like this post, but they were in Alaska and you're in Florida. What does that do? So I don't do ads. I think the ads for Facebook is more for branding long term. I don't think it's for immediate today's type thing. Groups are long term. Adam can talk to you about that. He knows. You get into groups, you get a good Facebook following, you get them for free. That and Reels, I think, are a better opportunity. Plus, if you can get Facebook to pay you $5 a month, fuck it, But
John says, talk to any guy that has been to Justin Walsh Mastermind. They know
me.
what's up.
That's me. I went to 3 of his.
And
the last one that I went to,
Justin Walsh is Jamie wants to
He
know.
worked for College Hunks hauling junk when I worked there.
Yeah, so
that's
Justin,
the boy you were telling me about.
Adam,
you were
so
telling me
Justin,
about it, right?
so Justin was a GM for Got Junk for 9 years. He then went over to College Hunks hauling junk when they had 3 franchises and helped them build that to 125. He left there, got into private equity stuff, was a vice president of franchises, and that's really how I learned how to do Facebook groups, was through him. And now Justin is the president and CEO of Junk Luggers. He runs Junk Luggers right now. I talk to Justin every day,
So
every other day.
Carson just asked, does anyone know how much money Junk Luggers parent company sold for?
I think it was like 25, somewhere in the 20s. I don't want to say for sure, but Josh, the guy that bought it, as soon as he sold out, he actually retired and recruited Justin to work for him. I believe Josh is the owner. And he retired, and Justin now runs it. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. But,
Russ,
there's a lot of things that you guys can learn from him. I went there, and I can tell you the guys, just so you guys all know, once I start firing off these names, you're going to understand the level of learning that you do at one of them versus some other things, like the Dallas one that was a stunner. But so when you all know who Abel is,
yes.
you all
No,
know who
no.
David Lettick is.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dave Lettick is speaking at the Junk Expo. He's been doing this for about 7 years. He was there. Abel was there, I think, once or twice. I've met him. John Aguirre, you guys all know who he is. Happy Junk Removal in Arizona. Yep, he went. Jamie Rios, you guys, or Jaime Rios, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He owns Rios Junk Removal in Oklahoma. He's been doing it for 7 years. He went. He's still doing it. Yeah, Andrew Barton, he owns Barton Brothers. They do about $3.5 to $4 million a year in New Jersey. He went. Actually, one of the other ones, Casey Walsh, who owns Stand Up Guys, went. Met him. I mean, there's a long list of guys that have all gone to these masterminds that aren't all doing well just because of a fluke, right? So a lot of times when you start talking to people who are looking for coaching and mentoring, ask them where they learned. And when they can tell you, I learned from the president of the Junk Luggers, that gives you some credibility to what that person's knowledge is. So that's why the people like Abel get interviewed, me, David. It's because we understand and we've been taught from people who've run the franchises. So we understand all of that. You know what I mean? So we take those practices and we put them in our own business, and lo and behold, they work. So, but yeah, I went, and Justin was my mentor. And just so you guys know, okay, I'm 100% honest. It was $1,500 a month for 2 years. So I spent $36,000 for him to mentor me for 2 years. And if someone told me, I'll give you $36,000 and you could spend it on anything, do you want ads or mentorship? I'd give him another $36,000 to mentor me for another 2 years. Because what a lot of people who are new don't understand is mentors and coaches, our job is to make sure that you don't fall in the landmine that I fell in. That's what you're paying me for.
You cut the time in 1/5 the time in anything you do,
Minimum.
any industry.
Minimum. And the thing is if you get one that's accessible and one that you can talk to and one that is legitimately on your side, the fastest you're going to grow is ridiculous, because a good coach is going to tell you what to do and be your friend, but he's also going to be hard on you when he's like, hey, you said you were going to do this, but you didn't fucking do it. And this is, you're fucking it up. So don't always look at the coaches and gurus who don't have anybody that come through for them, because a lot of time it's the clients, and the clients just won't do what needs to be done, and so that's my saying on the coaches and gurus. But yeah, I know Justin well. Justin and I are very good friends.
Well, I love it. We need to get a group, that whole mastermind group that you just said. We're gonna have to get them all on one day. Me and Russ, we're gonna talk about that, brother. Let's arrange that and let's do that show. That
We
would be
actually have
amazing.
we have a private Facebook group, Aloha Junkman. He does like 1.5 million in Hawaii. All the companies that are in the group that we went, James Corey, you know him, he owns Move My Mess. Jay Silva was there. He owns Trasher Junk in Cleveland. And some smaller guys. Keith Gay was in there. He owns Wingman Junk Removal in Atlanta, or out in somewhere out there. But we're all doing well. We're all multi-truck operations. We've all been taught on how it's going to go, and that's our jobs when people give us money, is to keep you out of the shit. And it doesn't always work, but whatever.
So is that where Ricky came up with the idea with the mastermind group? Was from that original group? Was that from that?
You mean like the Tuesday get together, the Tuesday fucking jerk off thing that they do, or everybody gets together and talks
Yes,
about how
yes,
they do great? Yeah,
yes.
if anybody, listen,
I've been invited.
You what?
I've been invited to those. I'll have you know. I haven't
Oh,
been able to attend.
they've invited me, but I said if you can answer these 5 questions, I'll come on, and I've never had anybody answer them. So I don't. To me, it's like talking to kindergartners, and I don't have the time to deal with that. So I don't get into that with those guys. But no, so the original one was put on by JRA, and that was Junk Con, and I think that was like 3 years ago. And that was kind of like the Junk Expo. They had people that do that type stuff. Justin's was the first mastermind that I had ever heard of in the junk removal company in the space. And that was 3 years ago, well before the Junk Expo, well before the Dallas thing. Well, like he was probably the first person to put it on. And coincidentally, none of the people that went to his shows have ever put one on. So it's not something that we don't strive to do. But I'm sure that if I got together with 7 or 8 of the guys that in there, you would learn more in that 2-day class than in Dallas or the Junk Con that was at JRA or anything like that, because there's no one-on-one time. There's no asking questions. It's more of a here's my story, this worked for me, here's my story, this worked for me. It's not like you sit down and have a group setting, 5 to 10 people with each person a set amount of times. You know what I'm saying?
So Russ, when does someone think they need to go to one of these courses or hear one of these things? Is it a certain amount of years where they should
Oh.
be ready for this, or
As you could get into something like as soon as
Oh, I went my second year. So
Second year.
it depends on what you want to do. It really depends on how serious you are about wanting to do it. And there's a lot of guys out here that run the junk companies, and they say they're serious, but they take the weekends off. Or they say they're serious, but they don't want to put that job on at
Mr.
5 o'clock.
Yee, we
Me and
had
Paul
this
were just
conversation,
talking about
bro.
this. We were just
You know,
talking about
and
this.
so what happens is
That's
you
why I
get
asked this.
who's an asshole like me, and I'll just rip your face off. I'll come into your market and just shit on you because I will absolutely outwork you.
Well, that's what me and Paul are trying to do. But yeah, man.
Yeah. And it's every hauler is different, and they get to a comfortable level. I just had a 2-hour conversation with my nephew in Houston about this. You start off and you get to a certain income and you're like, I'm pretty comfortable, and you stop. And that's it. That's where you stay. You don't grow. You run out of the gates as fast as you can to get to say 300,000 a year, running a 1 truck operation, making 100 grand, and you think you did good because you just came from a job making 40. So to you, this is like life-changing money. And there's some people out there that were making $100,000 a year and decided, I'm going to do this and I want to make $500,000 a year. And now they're just going to outwork you. And it's because they want it more than you. So it really, the success of a junk company is going to come down to the determination of the person that's running the company. They either want to do it or they want to half-ass it. And unfortunately, in here, most people half-ass it. They're not committed 100%.
I think you're absolutely right. There's some big names out there who do half-ass it, and
Yeah.
they pre. This is the Forget About It Friday show. They preach it, but they may cut some corners.
They all do. But
Mhm.
and again, it's the clickbait, it's all the other shit that everybody says, I mean, go to YouTube and look up junk removal. There's 75,000 videos about how they made $1,000 in the first 2 hours of
Yeah.
and so when you take someone with low intelligence but a strong back and they see a video that goes, I can do that, and they turn around and go, hey ma, I could go and pick up a couch for $300. We'll go do that, all right? They don't do. Oh, go take Grandpa's old trick-up truck and go get Harbor Freight and buy the $200 fucking trailer and go get it, Bobby. No, it's if you
Forget
can't
about it.
spell your name, you can't fucking do junk removal. It doesn't matter. You're just too stupid. But a lot of people, unfortunately, like I said, they have low intelligence, and so they buy bullshit real easy.
Yeah. Well, I off topic, but we have been seeing a lot of NPRs for sale lately.
Well,
I have been seeing a lot of people selling their NPRs, and it seems like
yeah.
a lot of people are giving good deals right now. So if you got some cash,
Well, it's. I mean, if you're at the point to expand, sure, buy an NPR, buy another one. But
better be ready for it.
if you're not gonna, so I have a conversation with a lot of the clients that I talk to, and It basically goes like this. You treat your trucks as your kids, right? Paul, I may even told you this or on your show before,
Yeah,
but
we heard it.
yeah. So if you're not going to put the money into the second truck, don't buy the second truck. That's just you. Whatever you did for the first, you do for the second. If you think that you're at 300 grand and you want to go buy a second truck, and just by having a second truck, you're going to do 300 grand and not increase ad spend, well, you would have done 300,000 on the first truck that was wrapped and lettered without spending any money. Did that work? No. So guess what you're going to have to do with the second truck? Double your ad spend. It just is what it is.
So Russ, if you are in your first dump truck, is anything else like you're done? You're on truck level now. You shouldn't be having trailers or you shouldn't be having box trucks. You should just be having these.
Depends on. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that. I feel
Okay.
bad. Josh took off, and I'm like, damn, dude. I hope I didn't fucking ruin your show, dude. I'm sorry.
No, he's here.
I've been muted.
Oh, okay. Is that what it was? I just saw the little button. I was like, oh shit, did Josh take off, man. I'm sorry, dude. I mean to get you off your show, dude. I'm sorry
No,
about that.
yeah.
No,
Jump
he's
in
in a
anytime, buddy.
yeah, he's in the dark. You got hey Josh, you got a light over there? You got a light, something? Candle?
Hang on,
A,
it's
a
10 o'clock here.
donkey?
Give me 1 second.
He's Matt Fitch right now in the dark.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
So,
So Russ, what do you think about that?
so here's the thing. I think it depends on one, when you're starting, what you have available in funds to get a vehicle. And then two, it's going to depend on what your ultimate goal is. So if you're starting and you're like, hey, I just want to do this part time, go get a Chevy S10 or a Chevy 1500 and pull a fucking wire wheel wagon around and go start that way. If you're like, you know what, I want to do this, I'm going to go out. I have a truck already. I can't afford a $65,000 NPR. I'm going to buy a $15,000 dump trailer. I'm going to start that way. Right? Some people are like, I don't have a truck or a trailer, but I can get a box truck for 10 grand. We'll start that way. But if your ultimate goal is to get somewhere where okay, I see, when I first started, it was Lee Godbold and Junk Doctors. And I was like, he's got 7 fucking trucks, dude. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to do that shit. I'm doing it. I want to be that guy. And I knew that was my end goal. And, I was in a fortunate position that I already made good money. So I was able to buy a dump truck. But if I was to ever partner with anybody, the first thing I would do is eliminate every truck but a dump truck. You would buy a dump truck. 100% it would be the first thing you bought. It would be an NPR.
Let me ask you though, Russ, when you're looking, because I'm now looking to get like an employee and, eventually start having them drive. And I'm just like thinking,
Mhm.
do I trust them driving the NPR,
Yes.
The expensive.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. You're looking at the expense. Okay. So let's look at the expense cost of the truck.
No.
Okay?
No, it's not the expense. It's the scared of, don't know what you have driving your truck.
I thought you're gonna hire me. I thought you're gonna hire me full time.
Well, I mean,
but Russ, remind you, like where we are and everything. It's, I don't know if I would just trust somebody with $100,000 truck to drive around without knowing. That's why what I'm thinking in my head, this is the logic that I was thinking, get the box truck, something that you really don't care about. And it's kind of like the trial truck. This is where you start them off in. I really don't care. I'll start them off day one in that, try it out. You know what I mean?
well,
I feel safer with that rather than putting them in that NPR. And, I don't know.
Like you would go to an auction and buy a truck?
Yeah.
Well, as long as it's clean looking, I'm feel like, once you throw that wrap on, it's going to look like a brand new truck anyways.
Right.
And, something that you're dropping like, 15, 20K on, you're not really breaking the bank. It's going to make its money back right away. And it's kind of just like the first 6-month trial truck. Like, here, bro, take this home with you. This is another thing of working with me. You get this truck to go home with.
Here's what I would say. Your training program sucks. Because if when I hired somebody, and I'm just going to be honest with you, Paul, when I picked my truck up in Philly, I had never drove a cab over truck in my life, and I drove it back from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, I don't know if you've ever driven through Philly, but most of like fucking Ray Charles and the other half are like fucking Stevie Wonder, and they're all trying to die in the same hour. Okay, it's fucking stupid and crazy, and I've never driven one of those. I learned how to drive the truck. So when you hire someone new, what you do is you sit in the fucking passenger seat and they drive the entire time with you in the car. You can see how they're doing. You can see how they back up. You let that guy drive with you for 6 months. Now you've built up the trust to allow the guy to go and drive. Make sense? Now what happens is you hire your replacement because you're now the helper. Now you're out of the truck, but you feel comfortable because you drove with this guy for 6 months and he hasn't killed anybody yet, thank God. And then all you do is you just put all the stuff in the car. You put the dash cam in the car to cover your ass in case of an accident. It has geotagging on it and all that stuff, so you can look at wherever he is. You can see the speed monitoring. Is he driving like an asshole? And if he is, you pull him out of the truck and fire him. Hire somebody else. So you
Or
have
Paul.
all that. You have all that to look into, and then you can just do a background check on his license. I'm
Or
sure you can
Paul,
find it out.
you walk with him to the bathroom and you show him the arm and say, "Hey, bro.
Yeah,
Hey, bro. Let me
yeah, man.
put
Yo,
put your
you see
finger.
the name of this? Forget
Yeah,
about. We can forget
yeah,
about you real
yeah.
quick, buddy.
Put your
Yeah.
finger.
Don't fuck up.
Put your two fingers. Put your two fingers right here. Watch this.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Let me show you something.
You're right, bro. I don't know, man. I was just thinking like with the box truck and everything, but no, you're right with that. I like how you do that, and you're training them with that. Yeah, I do.
Now,
Yeah.
now, Paul, I didn't want to cut you off, but what's going on with you and Aaron? Let's get a little couple minutes into that now too.
Yeah,
Before
so-
we do that, I'm gonna bow out.
It's
Pretty
late
much.
over there. I know, man. I know. It's time for bed over
So,
there.
I
Adam,
appreciate
thank you
having me
for
on.
coming on
Good
tonight.
night, brother.
Good
We'll
night,
see ya.
Adam.
Hold on, yo, guys, everybody get over to Adam Hummel on Facebook. You guys got to follow this guy, bro. He's
funny shit, man.
hilarious. Yeah, bro. And
He
it's
is
always
funny
every
shit.
day I wake up, man, he has me laughing my ass off. Whatever he does, whatever antics he's got going on, or local drama, like it's just nuts, bro. But everybody get over
I
there,
did
follow
find a
this dude.
washboard the other day called the Double Handy. Like I just like to make puns, and I go over the line. You know what I mean? I skirt the line of what you could show to anyone, and like a kid wouldn't know it was inappropriate, but a parent will always know. So that's my goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on tonight, brother. Really appreciate it, my man.
Appreciate you.
Hell yeah. And Kevin says, yeah, all about the training. Yeah, 100% with that, man. That's something I'm definitely gonna have to start looking into and
Oh,
learning.
hey, Denise made a comment. She asked if I coach. I do coach, Denise, just so you know. I do coaching and mentoring, and it is extremely affordable. It's $350 a month for two calls. So they usually are like 1 hour calls, but last night's call I had with a client went 3 hours. Didn't cost them any extra. They were having some problems. We went through the whole thing, went through financials and some other stuff. So those calls I don't charge any extra for. It's $350 a month. You can text me, you can call me. I'm in a estimate. I need help. I'll do the best I can to get to you as fast as I can. But yeah, it's $350 a month, and in comparison to what I paid, fuck my god, shit, I paid $1,500 for.
Do you have a link to that, Russ?
No, I don't have a coaching program or anything
Okay.
like that. I don't.
I was gonna say send us the link so we can get some kickbacks.
20%. Here's your affiliate code. Russ is a dipshit.
Because Paul was just talking about that.
I do have an easier marketing sign link if anybody wants. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't. You know what? I never did that with my yard signs. I bought yard signs one time. I bought 300 yard signs, and it's just I went all out on my yard signs. They're like 24 by 18, the fucking big, freaking. You got to see me. Look, hey, look at me right here. And I put my own. But there's just so many people who do put yard signs, and it's just like.
Well, I'll give you one that I saw in one of the groups a few years ago, and it works real well. It's road parking, but what this guy did is he made a billboard out of a flatbed trailer. So he built it up, said dumpster rentals with a phone number on it, and then he just paid a guy. And he's like, "Hey man, I'll give you $100 a month if I can just park this in your driveway."
Yeah, good idea.
Killing it. And so what you can do is you can actually just go out and go rent an office for $300 a month that has really good road parking and a busy road, and just build that trailer and park it on the road. And you're spending $300 a month to have basically a billboard on a very busy road. Yeah. It will pay off.
Yo, this company in my area, they have about 10 of them, and they put them in every town, and they move them around. And I'm like, I get so mad. I'm like so jealous. I'm like, this shit is genius, man. Because
you know what? Paul,
race.
where we live, Paul, we have a lot of land with a lot of long roads. Yeah. All we have to do is pull over to the landowner and talk to the landowner and
Yes.
say, hey, can we post a sign right here? It would just be this big, and
Yeah.
I'll pay you a certain amount of money per month,
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't get touched and it's everything. And he
Yeah.
might say, hell yeah, give me $500 a month. Put your fucking billboard right here. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Drop it right on the front lawn, and nobody
Paul.
who's going to do that.
They sell one on the 101 by us, and I went in price. It was $3,500 for the month, and all. I wanted to do an experiment just to kind of see does it pay for itself, because gets a lot of traffic by it nonstop. And I think if you put the right one with something like Forget About It, I think that would be a catchy, and you probably get a lot of phone calls.
I'm thinking about that because some haulers in my area, they know landowners, so they built special signs right on the freaking highway where it's a signal and you have to stop and you can see it. But I know they paid that landowner.
Well, the other thing too is if you're going to do something like that, I had the plans all driven up. What you do is you just put a solar battery on it or solar lights. And so at night it's lit up. So it's 24 hours a day. They see you during the day, and anybody driving at night, the light on a dark road is automatically going to draw their eyes to it. And if they take that road over and over and over and over again for a year, they're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so sick of seeing the Forget About It fucking sign. Jesus Christ. But
we got to get in. We got to get into the whole Aaron thing, man. I can't forget this. Aaron is feeling spicy today, man. I don't know what he woke up on the wrong side of the bed or something. He was at the gym and making video after video, and he's coming at me, man, hard, bro. He's really he really wants this, man. So, guys, if you haven't already, man, October 24th, we got the Junk Expo. It's the whole weekend, the 24th and 25th. But we got some extra fun on top of the 12 speakers that are going. We're also going to have a big arm wrestling match over there. And then me and Aaron been going back and forth with each other. And it's going down that day. So you're going to get to see a 5-round right-hand match. And I want to propose this right now. This is going to be big news here. And it's actually somebody in the chat. Kevin Hess actually got it in my head. Yo, we need to do some sort of belt. We need to do some like WWF style belt. So Aaron, if you're listening, bro, let's go and split a belt. Let's get an official custom thing made. We could put on like the Junk Expo, 2025, put something real cool on. We'll come to agreement, and then the winner goes home with it, man. So
I think
I'm putting that out there right now.
Also, I think, if Matt and Joni are watching, I think there should be a contest for, all the guys bringing their equipment as their dump trucks and dump trailers. I think there should be a vote, a voted best looking vehicle.
That would be cool to have.
You know what I mean?
Every little like a show
raffle
outside, have the truck, the NPR truck show or trailer truck show.
Just a little box where people can vote and say, hey, best voted, you know what I mean? I got best voted, dump truck of 2025 Expo. Yeah.
I did want to ask Josh a question while he's on the phone. So, Josh, when you set your ads up, your Google ads up, right? Do you set it up to cover the entire area for all the ads, or do you set up specific campaigns for a specific radius?
Well, generally speaking, we'll start with the radius, and we can revisit that in the future once we have more data, because a lot of the times when, we'll have a client that wants to say, let's just target these zip codes, these high income zip codes or whatever. But I'm not a fan of assuming, because a lot of times what we think is going to work doesn't. So it does make sense to, split it up by area after you have enough data, and then you can build a custom report and look and see how the areas have performed.
Nice.
So we start with the radius, but then if we notice certain areas are doing better than others, we can build a separate campaign specifically for those areas.
Well, my question specifically was this, right? So I work with a guy, and I work with two different companies, and they do it completely differently. And one does it as, okay, furniture ads are only going to go within 5 miles of your radius, because you don't really want to drive 35 miles to go pick up a couch.
Yeah, no.
Might go through like 20-mile radius, or how far do you want to drive out to do a hoarder house? You know what I mean?
No. So we always do hoarder and then demolition. When I say demolition, I mean real demolition, like full scale. We always build separate campaigns, and the reason is, one, there's a lot less search volume for hoarding clean out, so you have to have a bigger area. Junk removal, it's up to the client, but we generally do like 15 miles or whatever. But then like hoarder cleanouts might be a 60-mile radius. Demolition, sometimes you do upwards of 100-mile radius. So yeah, in that regard, I thought you were just referring to like junk removal specifically.
Yeah,
But
no. Oh, just like
we
different, like, okay, I
no,
want to do my shed ads are going to be within 20 miles.
yeah,
My
we
hot tub
generally
ads.
always have a bigger radius to capture more search volume for higher ticket services.
Okay. I was just wondering on that. So
Yeah.
what do you see as a decent click through rate?
I see 10% as being good. It now. I'm gonna shut my camera off for a second here. So it depends. Like certain ad groups that are Uber specific. Let's, for example, hot tub removal. A lot of times you might not have a. A lot of times, for like hot tubs, for example, we might get like a 30% click through rate. If our competitors aren't bidding specifically on, the more specific it is, the higher click-through rate there's going to be. But for like
Right.
general terms, junk removal, you're going to have a lot more competition. Therefore, you're going to have to bid a lot more to show up at the top of the page. So that, so etc.
Right.
So 10% campaign wide, but for different services, like Uber specific services, for example, fence removal is something we have really good luck with. We can get 20,
Right.
25, 30% click-through rates on those.
Yeah, not many people are doing fence removal, so that makes
Yeah,
sense.
same with carpets, another good one too. Carpet
Yeah,
removal.
carpet removal.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I was just wondering how that's set up and how you guys did that. That's all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, those are big factors right there. As in, you wouldn't want to be, you would expand your audience for a big hoarder clean out.
right. Yeah.
And
And that's some of the guys what they'll do is they put your whole entire, they'll put everything that you're advertising for in the entire radius. So some guys might set up a 60-mile radius, and that includes mattress pickup, appliance pickup, furniture pickup, and all the low dollar bullshit.
Oh,
yeah, the
And,
bullshit.
and no one wants to drive 60 miles to go pick up a fucking washer. So why would you spend that money to advertise for that service so far away? So a lot of guys are specific in zip codes for specific jobs. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's why I was asking. But it tends to be right, like hoarders and home demolition and
High paying
trailer
jobs.
demolition, stuff like that. It's going to be bigger because you
Yeah.
have such a few amount of people looking. You just have to go farther.
Yeah, you
Yep.
have to look for them almost.
Right.
Let them
Yeah.
find
Makes
you.
sense.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
good. That was a good one, Josh.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
Maybe he knows a thing or two.
Maybe he does. You know what I mean? And I'm glad he stuck around. And
No, he's good.
Josh, we're not bashing you. You know what I mean?
I've told Josh plenty of times. I've told a lot of people. Josh is pretty good, and it's not always just about ads. He's also very knowledgeable in a lot of other areas,
yeah, sounds
taxes
like
and some other stuff, and
yeah,
and other things like that. So it's not, some people aren't. It's one of those things like, what's his name? Bruce Lee was a master
Paul,
of
you're muted.
kung
Paul,
fu,
you're muted.
but he couldn't build a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
would listen to him for one thing, but not another.
Mhm.
So it's good to be multifaceted in a lot of different things,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
that helps, especially with the people like in Josh's position. They
No doubt.
understand.
No doubt.
Try this, try that.
Mhm.
Do this, do that, whatever. And it's
And
not just because he knows ads. It's other stuff.
yeah, and Josh, if junk removal didn't work out for you, it didn't work out for you. It's not for everybody. Shit is hard work. This shit is hard work. What we do.
I think it would have worked out for him. I think
it
he could
would have.
definitely do it. I
Yeah,
think he could
yeah.
definitely do it.
Well, he was gifted to find something else and market
Yeah.
off that, and
Some-
bring him a paycheck off that.
Some people don't, it's one of those things, like some people just don't like going into cat shit filled houses every day, or having to try to search,
Shit.
trying to constantly hustle and do it. And then all of a sudden, by the grace of God, you did something on your own. And you're like, you know what? Fuck, I didn't even realize I'm pretty good at this. Holy shit,
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you shift from what you were doing, not because he couldn't do it, but because he just realized, like, yeah, it's okay to pick up junk, but I really like watching what I know make other people successful. And
Mhm.
that is the aphrodisiac. It is for me in coaching. I really get off on seeing other people do
Oh.
well because of what I know. So I'm sure that plays into part of what Josh is like, yeah, wait, I made grandma happy, but there's
Yeah.
75 other guys that I'm printing money for because I found something that I'm really good at that I can share with someone else. and I don't have to
Also,
abuse
that
my
he's
back.
experienced getting burnt 5 times, so he wants to actually deliver where he didn't get that to happen for him.
And
Didn't help him
also junk removal was a diving board for him that he got to get into this, and he was like,
Right. Well, nobody.
Well,
Well, but
I
this way,
want to.
nobody says anything to Andrew that says, "Say that was a diving board." Everyone's like, "Oh, this was just a diving board for Andrew to get into autopilot." So why couldn't this be a diving board for John to get into owning a marketing agency? You know
That's
what I'm saying?
exactly
Well,
what I'm
I
saying. That's
wanted to,
exactly what I'm saying.
if you
Yeah.
don't mind, I just wanted to say one more thing. I know we've been on here for a while. I tried to jump in earlier, Russ, but
Yeah.
I think I was muted. But we have talked a few times,
Yeah.
and I think one of the reasons that we, I mean, every time we're commenting on a post, we're always in agreement on something.
Yeah.
And I think I appreciate you jumping on here and jumping in like you did, but I think one of the things that you and I have in common, even though I didn't really get a chance to display that here today, is we tell people things you don't want to hear. I mean, I see you commenting on people's stuff all the time, and like I just couldn't react enough to your comment. Like I wish I could just get everybody to pay attention to just what you're saying, because there's so many, a lot of it is like price related. Like you're one of the only guys that I see, and I do it as well, where guys are in there, how much should I charge for this job? And because there's truth to what you said about with coaching, a lot of times, we see it from both sides. That there's a lot of coaches that are full of shit. I know there's a lot of marketers that are full of shit, but then you also know that there are a lot of business owners that just have ridiculous expectations. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to listen to any of the truly constructive criticism, that you have to listen to. Pricing is a big thing in junk removal, and I constantly see you in these groups. Like before I even have a chance to comment, there's guys trying to charge $2,000 to remove a hot tub, and you're always the first guy in there to be like, "You're not going to get any customers that way,"
No.
So
But that's YouTube.
what's that?
I said, but that's YouTube. Someone saw someone on YouTube make $2,000 removing a hot tub, so it's got to be true.
I
And
know.
and you see it too. You know it.
Yeah. Well, and that is a big thing. I feel like a lot of times, sometimes even if you do a really good job with ads and stuff, some companies just aren't going to get the results they want because they don't realize that, like, when you're advertising, you're literally just paying to compete.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of guys that watch a lot of these YouTube channels, and it's all just, it's painted to be, charge what you're worth, know your value. And a lot of it's just fluff bullshit. Like if you start paying to advertise and compete, and by the way, I work for a few of the franchises. If you start advertising to compete with Junk King, who's offering $79 junk removal, and you want $200 to move your truck, Google Ads isn't going to work for you. It doesn't matter who you hire. It does. And I'm not saying you have to be the cheapest,
No.
but that's something that I've always appreciated about you. I can tell you know what you're doing, dude. I mean, it should be obvious to everybody because you say
But
things, not everybody wants to hear, which is huge. If everything somebody's saying, you like, you should probably second guess that person's opinion.
oh yeah, I agree. But I think that, like you said, people don't understand that. We can leads are one thing that you can give, and I can give people the advice on what they need to do and how to get there.
Yeah.
But if they don't do it, and you suck at sales, you can give them 100 leads, and if they close 9, they suck. But if you give them 10
Yeah.
leads and they close 9, they're great.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of the problem that a lot of people have is they don't know how to talk to people. They've never worked in a service business. They've never owned a business. You can tell Paul's a natural at talking to people because he's done business. He's done it. And a lot of people, especially depending on where you live in the country, also depends on how well you're going to be able to talk to people. People in New York are going to be able to get along with more people because of the diversity of the state and the way that we're brought up. Whereas if you take
Yeah.
someone in Alabama, I'm very brash and I'm very like, whoa, boy, stay off. Like what the fuck? My mama don't approve. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think that has a lot to do with it. But if you don't practice sales and you don't practice objections and you don't practice what you're going to say to someone enough, then you look like a dipshit when they're like, oh, well, I think it's too much.
Yep. 100. I mean, you have to have a foundation for anything to work.
And I think,
Google, Thumbtack, Yelp, Angie. I have clients that have made anything work. Like some guys,
right,
but it comes down to, and that's why earlier I wasn't trying to dodge the question of what's a return on investment.
right.
Anybody that's going to give that to you, like, here's the thing. I know, because you're thinking for your business, but I'm thinking, like, I know that every business owner is not good on the phone. I know that a lot of them don't answer the fucking phone. I know that a lot of them have ridiculous prices. Hey, yeah, I think I'm looking to get rid of a hot tub, $700. All right, let me know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do marketing wise if your foundation is broken.
Yeah,
And I feel like you touch on that a lot, which I think is more helpful than anything.
yeah, and I think that people also have to have a realistic expectation of what their outcomes are going to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you think that you're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to sign up with you, Josh, and I'm going to give you $2,000 a month, and I'm buying a Ferrari. Well, that's not going to work. Okay, that's not how this game works. And just
Right.
because you say I advertise on Google Ads doesn't mean you actually fucking advertise on Google Ads,
Right.
because a lot of things that the guys that are doing it should be telling you, right?
Yep.
The size of your budget is going to depend a lot on where Google decides to place you.
Yeah.
If Got Junk says I'm going to spend $15,000 a month, and Russ says I'm going to spend $2,000 a month, I can guarantee you Got Junk's going to show up a whole hell of a lot fucking more than I am. And when
Right.
I show up, it's going to show up after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the guys with the lower budgets are going to see their phone calls come in the afternoon, which means now they've got to try to either work late and say, fuck, I'm done. I got to go get somebody else back in the truck to go back and do a job at 4 o'clock, or they're going to have to spend more money to show up earlier in the day, 7
Yep.
o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And a
Well,
lot of guys don't explain that to people. And again, a lot of the people who are new don't know to ask that question. To them,
100%.
$15,000 is a shit ton of money to spend on advertising without knowing what's coming at the end.
Right.
If I ever started a company, it would be $5,000 a month minimum, because I understand the return that I'm going to get. The guys that don't know to ask the questions.
Well,
And you're
and
100% right.
another huge thing I want to add. I'm sorry I keep dragging this out.
No,
Here's one of the key difference, and that's why I'm not trying to give runarounds or answers. There's just a lot of things to factor. Like Russ, I know for a fact you have endless marketing channels that bring you leads. I mean, you're always posting screenshots of a Google call, a Bing call, a yard sign call, blah blah blah.
yeah,
There are a lot of business owners that will come to me to run their ads. That's all they're doing, and
that's all they want.
they expect Google. If I spend money on ads, well, then I should be able to scale to 4 trucks and do 12 jobs a day. That's not how it's going to work. Everything has good days. Everything has bad days. The more you're doing, the more you minimize those bad days. If you're expecting $100 a day on Google Ads to keep you busy
Yo,
doing $1,500
I
a
want
day,
to break it up because I'm living that, bro. You have to become it. You have to live the life. That's what it is, bro. I own a bunch of businesses right now, and I'm not focused on them right now. They're the other businesses, nothing. They're my other people are running them, and I'm 100% focused on making this successful. And that's what I do every day. Everything I touch. Every car that I have out here, every truck that I have is branded. Everything I wear, everywhere I go is a conversation piece. Just to go to tell them what I'm into right now at that moment. I'm a junk removal guy. That's what's going to make you successful. Not going to somebody and being, somebody that doesn't talk to anybody, doesn't do anything on posts with Facebook or anything for themselves, then hits you up, Josh, and it's like, oh, bro, I'm just going to throw you $10,000 and I'm going to be successful. And I think a lot of those guys are doing that, and that's what you're trying to make the point.
No.
A guy like me, bro, is just the complete opposite of that guy. I am 100% just living, breathing every second of the day is junk removal. I'm in the trenches. I'm doing the work. Most guys in my position would never do this. They would never be on a truck. Their egos would not allow that to happen. I'm that guy that is doing that, and I love this because I'm learning everything I need to learn. And every day I am reminded at least 2-3 times a day why I'm on this truck, because I said, damn, if I didn't go through this experience, I would not know how when an employee called me up and like, yo, this just happened, what do I do? I'd be like, I wouldn't know what the hell to do. Now it's like, oh, well, that happened to me. This is what you do. I'm coming like Russ. You know what I mean? And that's the only way
Solutions.
you're going to come really, really successful, man. And that's like everything that I get into, I do that. You know, I could be doing this half-ass. I could be focused on my other businesses right now. Yeah, they are suffering. They're not getting, you know, I'm not maximizing them right now. But I know the end goal is I'm going to have another successful business that is going to be bringing me another big income stream, and it's all going to make sense. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, you have to live it. You got to really, really want it.
And you're in the probably 10% of the people in the junk removal space that do it. And the problem, I think, Josh will probably attest to this, is people expect you to be the god. Well, you know what you're doing. You're supposed to make my phone ring. And it's like, yeah, I can make the phone ring 20 times in a month. What you do with those fucking calls, that's up to you. If you
Yeah.
don't do the call, or you are $1,500 for a full truck, or
Yeah.
some guys are, I'm not getting out of my house for $250.
Yeah.
You know, here's what I would like to ask anyone. If you sold a job for $250 and that person never called you back, is that a success? No. If you sold the job for $125 and they called you back 3 times and then you got mom's estate, is that a success? Yes. If you go to a job and you sell a hot tub, you drove your ass over there and you tell them, "Oh, I know my worth. I'm gonna do that for $1,000." You just drove away and spent $50 in gas and did nothing.
Right.
So $500 of a $500 sale is 500 fucking dollars. $1,000 estimate with no sale is a thumb up your ass and a very lonely ride home. That's what it is. And a lot of
Yep.
people don't understand that. And they think that because they saw, a couple people on Instagram or on Facebook or somewhere on YouTube, that they showed the one day of the one video that they did really well on, that this is the fucking answer.
But how many calls did
That
it take
ain't
to
it.
land that job? You
Well,
know,
that's the
like
thing. Yeah.
that's the shit they never share. Oh, I made
Right.
$1,000 cutting up this hot tub, but how many people told you no
Yeah.
to get that yes? So
How
people
many
think that
jobs
they're-
did you lose? That you know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
here's
that's the other thing, And then the other, to the opposite end of this too, is a lot of the guys who do get into Google and they see some success in a smaller market. You're not going to see it in, New York City on a $2,000. I wouldn't even, if anybody's in New York City and you're offering to do Google ads for $2,000, you should just quit. Don't even bother doing that, because you're going to get one click and that's it for the month. So don't do that. But in smaller markets, I see $2,000 working. Let's go to 4,000. That's what your guys should be telling you. I'm seeing it work. The opposite end is, if I go to Josh and I say, "Josh, I live in a city of 500,000 people. I want you to spend $10,000 a month on Google ads, and I'm an owner operator." You might as well go over and burn $5,000 in advertising, because you're not going to be able to keep up with the amount of volume. So
Right.
there's a fine line of what your equipment is versus what you can do versus how much you're going to spend on Google. A lot of people don't understand that, and they get
Yeah.
into advertising and they see, "Oh, this is working," and then they just double the budget and mash the gas, and then a month later they're like, "Fuck, I'm booked a month out." People are getting pissed. Then it falls off. I slowed down on ads. Now I'm fucked. Like,
Yep.
there's a
It,
balance in the ad game that anybody who knows what they're doing and has done it for successful people will be able to guide you through that.
it,
If
it's
they
super
don't,
it's super important to know your number. Like you said, if you a lot of times the more market share you take up, doubling your budget can double your cost per lead. So
yes,
there's a point of diminishing returns, but it's really important that you know your numbers. I mean, if you close 1 out of 3 calls and you need 3 jobs a day, you need 9 leads a day. If you're consistent with those numbers, you will hit your goals. But a lot of the time, people just they have no clue what they're aiming for. Let's start out with $100. Let's try $50. Let's try buying some yard signs. How many yard signs do you have to put out to get a call? Like you have to actually think about how much you have to be able to look at the numbers, because numbers just don't lie to you, which is
right.
another reason I'm such a fan of the stuff you share, because you always share numbers. And a lot of times people are just making decisions based on emotion.
Well,
Let's try this. And if we don't, we'll look at our bank account and see if we want to keep doing it. And
so
if
here's
that's what we're
another
going.
thing that I would also tell people, right? So there's when you're a new company, right? Paul's brand new, so he's going to spend I'm just going to throw a number out here. He's going to spend $50,000 this year, and he's going to bring in $250,000 in revenue. So in his head, it's 5-1, right? A year goes by, he spends $50,000 and he brings in $300,000. So now he's thinking 6-1. But what he's not taking into account is how many of that is previous customers.
Right.
So now what you have to understand too is how much am I spending on new customers? You're
Right.
not advertising on Google for the guys who have used you before. Google is strictly to build the database with new customers. So
100%.
when you're looking at your advertising and you're seeing, oh, I spent $5,000 this month and I pulled in 40 grand. Also try to remember you spent $5,000 to pull in 20 grand because the other 20 grand was previous customers.
Right.
So and a lot of guys who are doing the ads don't explain that to people. And so they you get a false sense of how well you're doing with ads because the repeat business year after year will continue to add without doing anything. So, you might look at it and say in 5 years, $50,000, but I make $1 million in revenue, right? Well, wow, you're getting 20-1. No, I'm not. $450,000 is repeat. So now I'm spending 50,000 to make 500,000. You know what I mean? So knowing your number is a huge deal. The other thing on this is if I know how much I'm going to spend $5,000 with Josh, and Josh is going to bring me in 100 calls, 100 jobs a month. All right, just for round numbers, right? And so now I know I spend $5,000. I get 100. I get 100 jobs, and my average job size is $400. So I'm going to spend $5,000 to bring in 100 jobs at $400 to bring in $40,000. Make sense? So now I know next year, what's my goal next year? I did 500,000 this year. I want to get to 1 million. Okay, well, how much do I have to spend in additional advertising to get that 500,000? But because I know what I spent last year, I'll know what I have to spend this year additionally. So if I spend 5,000, gets me 100 jobs, and I want to do 200 jobs, I'm going to spend $10,000 now to get 200 jobs at $400 average to make it $80,000 a month. But if you don't know what it costs you to get a job, if you don't know what your average job size is, you're never going to know what the predictable outcome is. And a lot of the guys that are on YouTube can't tell you that. They'll tell you, I did fucking $7,000 a day. What's your CAC cost? It cost me $33 for a click. Well, that's not what the fuck I'm asking you. Well, that's what I think it is. So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So this is why you got to try to find the guys that have been doing it and explain things. And Josh is really, and I'll be honest, Josh doesn't work for me, doesn't do anything for me. I'm just saying as a non-bias in the middle who calls it he seems that he's an honest guy and knows what he's talking about. And he does do the right things as a coach should do, the same way he should do. I will give you the tools. It's what the fuck you do with the tools. Are you going to build a house with the pitchfork and the hay, or are you going to use the hammer and the fucking wood I gave you? Which one do you want to use? You know what I mean? And a lot of it is not so much on the coaches who get the blame or on the Google guys who get the blame. It's on the people who can't look in the mirror and give themselves the fucking blame. And almost everybody that is failed in business, it's the person in the mirror who did it to you. It isn't me. It isn't Paul. It isn't Yee. It isn't Josh. It isn't your mother.
You know what I've picked up on in the last couple of industries that I've got into, I always seek the top coach, and I take a while to do it. I really look into everything, and I find the one. But the ones that I've been picking is they're very picky on who they take as a student. They'll
100%.
turn down a lot of people, and that is what I see different. When I see them just accepting everybody, I got to question that. You know what I mean? Because then it's just like what Russ is saying. The coach should also see the people that
what am I working with?
Exactly.
I can't teach a one-legged amputee to be an NFL wide receiver. I just can't fucking do it. Then I'm not going to waste my time doing it. And I'm not going to say who it is, but I actually had a call with someone who wanted to coach with me. And we were talking, and I was like, well, what do you have for equipment? And he was like, well, I got a Chevy and transmission's going out. and I do it by myself, and I've got a 5x8 trailer, and I'm just like, okay, what's the goal? I want to do 250 grand. Okay, well, can you work all the time? Well, I work full time, and I can only work on the weekends. And it's like, well, my specialty isn't part-time weekend work with a slipping transmission in a trailer that doesn't have anything but 3 yards. Like, I can't help you. And I'm not going to take your money and do nothing for you, because where I'm going to do, you have to spend 20 grand just in vehicles to get to anything I'm going to try to get you to do. And it's the same thing with Josh. Josh can say, I'll give you all the equipment in the world, but if you show up in fucking old crappy scrappy with the fucking muffler hanging out and shit, what am I going to do for you? I can't fucking, what the fuck am I going to do for you?
Exactly.
So, and I think a lot of people and in society in general, nobody looks in the mirror like I'm looking in this phone and goes, you fucked up. You made a bad decision. You shouldn't have done that. Fail forward. They all go, Josh, you didn't bring me enough calls. It's your fault that I didn't answer the fucking phone. And then it's Paul, you didn't show up at the gym in New York and you're in California. It's your fucking fault. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happens, unfortunately, in the industry of coaching, is that you're trying to help people and they don't help themselves. It's the same thing with the Google ads. He'll tell you. He
Josh, let me
listens
ask
to
you.
calls.
Let me
You
ask
know.
you, Josh, what is some of the best students that you've not like asking names? I'm saying, like, you know, some of the characteristics or things that you've noticed that you've worked best with.
Sure. So my biggest, most successful clients, actually, because I do work with a lot of the franchises. They're not franchises. In my experience, the guys that are really, sorry, are you asking me what the most successful clients do that is different from other clients?
Yes.
Just to be clear. Okay. So the biggest one is diversifying. Like, here's an example. One of my better clients is, and when I say better, he's been with me for years. He's in the LA, Orange County area. And, you know, you see all this stuff, you see all these people talking about how horrible Yelp is, but he prints money with Yelp. So, you know, he doesn't necessarily care what this person says or what that person says. He diversifies. So, you know, that's a really, really big one. Most of the more successful companies I work with do things that just other companies don't do. I don't want to say too much, like, specifically and give it away and people go start looking at their websites and crap, because it could be obvious, but they are basically willing to try anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Click or text.
What's that?
Click or text. Click to text. Yeah. So, like a lot of websites, when you got to remember too that website. You look at your clients. If they work in a factory, if they work in a business, there's a lot of businesses that say you can't be on your phone, right? Yeah. So what do? They go and look up and they go, oh my God, I can't call anybody, but I'm allowed to text because they think I'm texting my kids. So they're in there. They're like, hey, we got to get this shit cleaned out. If you have a click the text button, people can text you without calling you while they're at work. I regularly get 3 to 4 text messages out of nowhere in Florida a week, and probably 3 to 4 in Rochester a week, just because I have the ability to let them do that. When it comes to diversification, you also have to understand this, okay? A lot of people don't like Google because they sell your information. A lot of people don't like Bing because they sell your information. So they don't go on there, right? So then they'll go to Yelp. So if you only have Google leading you and their servers fall out, you're fucked. You have nothing coming in for the day because their entire computer board's crashed out. If you have Facebook, if you have Yelp, if you have Nextdoor, if you have Craigslist, if you have Google ads, if you have Bing ads, that's 7 different Angie's List, that's 8 different ways someone else can find you than just one particular place, right? Google, when I went to Justin's, if I'm not mistaken, he said Google is only about 3% of our junk removal clients that are actively looking for you. The other 97% need to find you and then call you when they need you.
So I actually think I read a case study, and it's like 3% of your customers are ready to buy right now.
Yes.
Then 30, I think it's like 30% are researching,
Yep.
right? They're aware, they're problem aware. but they're not ready to commit. And then the other 60-something% aren't even aware you exist.
Right.
So, and then, yeah, only a percentage
That's
of people
Google.
that need you go to Google, only a percentage of those people will click your ad, etc.
Yeah, and a lot of times people don't understand this, right? So I'm going to give you an example on, let's say, Angie's List versus Google Ads. And people here will say, oh, I hate Angie's List. Angie's List sucks. I'm not a huge fan of Angie's List, but it has done well for me over the years when I did use it. I use it in Florida sparingly. But here's the difference. If I sign up for Angie's List and Paul puts in a request, the computer forces him to give me his name, his address, and his email address, right? So now I have his phone or his name, his address, and his email. Guess what I can do? I can add Paul, whether he has a job for me or not. I can add him to my CRM, and now I can email blast him later on in life. He didn't ask for that, but I paid $17 for Angie's List to give me all that information. I get one person, I call that person. That's it. In Google, if it takes you 4 clicks to get one call, right? That's a 25% conversion ratio, and each click costs you $40. You just spent $160 to get one call. You can get 10 Angie's Leads list for the cost of one Google job. So when you're looking at things like this, you have to understand that Google, yes, there are the higher paying dollar jobs are on Google. The bigger jobs are going to be on Google. But again, if you don't have the equipment to do these, and I think I've talked to Paul about this, don't go fucking advertising for it because you look like a dipshit. There's no reason, if I'm Josh, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, I come to you and I say, I've got a truck and my wife, and I want you to go out and advertise for multi-floor office cleanouts. What the fuck? Josh's first term to you should be, excuse me, do you have the ability to do a $25,000 job in 2 days? No. Why are you spending the money to try to target a job you can't fucking do? So
Well,
these
and on top of that, they're not going to be able to. We actually run into this all the time. You're not going to be able to compete. So a good example is demolition. We get super good results. Here's the thing, though. If you got a guy that doesn't have any equipment, he just has a truck and trailer, and he says, we want to advertise to tear down mobile homes, then we're going to sub a guy out, blah, blah, blah. Well, the problem is Russ owns his machines. He owns his machines. He has his own dumpsters. He doesn't have to rent them from anybody. He's going to win those jobs. So, a lot of times over for professional reasons, but also simply because he could do the job at a cheaper cost.
Yep.
So I 100% agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, don't advertise for jobs you can't do. If you're a two girl junk removal company and you weigh 110 pounds and you can lift 50 pounds apiece, don't go out there telling everybody that you can fucking pick up a hot tub because you can't. You can demo it and it'll take you 17 hours, and me and my buddy are going to come over in 15 minutes and have it out and on to the next job. So the profit margins for people who can do those jobs are higher. Yes, Paul can do a 10 truck job in 2 weeks. I can do a 10 truck job in a day. I'm going to be able to advertise for those jobs because I have the equipment, the expertise, the knowledge, and the people. You advertising for those jobs is like just lighting $100 bill on fire and just watching it burn and thinking you have a chance because you have no chance. It's not an arrogance thing. It's not a cocky thing. It's not I'm better than you. It's just I have better equipment than you and I have more people than you. And when it comes to those bigger jobs, they're not something like there's no office clean out that was $25,000. It's like, yeah, go ahead. You can take 2.5 months to do it. I don't care. That's not what they do. It's I have this office to clean out. I've got 2 weeks to get this done. You've eliminated 80% of all the haulers because they have no capacity to even remotely get that done in 2 weeks. Right. So now you're down to 2 or 3 guys. And if you're in the top 2 or 3 guys in your area with the equipment and the people and the expertise to do it, you're going to get the bigger jobs and you can advertise for those bigger jobs. But please don't be mom and pop and you driving around in an 8x10 wooded trailer and think you're going to go and fucking compete against me on a 12 truck clean out. You're going to have no chance. They don't care about the price.
They don't know how to get it done. I mean, I get people messaging me all the time. Hey, we got this driveway demolition lead. And the customer thought we were outrageous. I'm like, okay, send me some pictures. How much did you quote it? And they quoted $20,000.
Well, you're out.
Some dude came in there, like some company came in there that owns their own equipment, that owns their own dumpsters. They know exactly how long it's going to take. They know exactly how much it's going to weigh, and they're going to make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in profit doing that job in 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever. So yeah, it's not even just the fact that you can't do it, but you're going to be wasting your time if you genuinely don't know how much it's going to cost to do the job, and you're just guessing. Customers are going to see that. It's going to reflect in your bid, and yeah, you're not going to win them.
And that's the problem. And I think that in the industry, the guys who are out here selling you all the bullshit, like I can sell you a course on how to do this and that, they're out for their own gain, and that is the first person you need to run away from. If your person that you're working with, whether in marketing, taxes, accountant, any professional relationship that you're working with them, and you get the inkling that they are not out for your best intentions, you run the fuck away, because they're out for themselves, and everybody will be left like Matt Fitch left everybody else out in the fucking dark with nothing going on, because they were of low intelligence and watched a couple YouTube videos and bought some paper for 15 grand. And that's what they think it takes. And it's not. And then it gives guys like me and Josh and people who actually take the time to work with people out of our lives to do it. It's not like we make a ton of money doing this. I mean, I don't fuck $350 a month isn't gonna do shit for me. You know what I mean? But I do it to help the people who are serious and want to do it. You know what I mean? And that's why Justin was so high. And a lot of the coaches are really high, because they'll price out the bullshitters by just, it's $1,000 a month. Don't even call me. I don't even want to deal with you if you don't have $1,000 a month. So, but you pay for what knowledge you get. You know what I mean? And that's what you should be looking for in the guys in either marketing, coaching, truck building, whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean?
It's really hard. It's hard. I'm new in this, and it took me, close to a year, to kind of figure out the right people to be following. But at the beginning, you got so much stuff coming at you, and you don't know what's real, what's not. You don't know any of these people. You don't know the credibility or anything. So it's really confusing. You know what I mean? And I'm finally getting answers now. What about you, Mr. Yee? Because that's why we made this show originally, was just to find these answers. And I feel like both me and you we're finally getting somewhere. Do you feel the same?
Well, I think that we're putting the groundwork in. I think we're putting the groundwork in to get these answers. And, some people like us, some people don't. But we're actually like getting answers that we've been chasing for. And, it's just putting the hard work in this business. You gotta put this. That's just it. You gotta put the hard work in this business. If you have a budget, then go for it. You can hire. I recommend you go to one of the, like he said, one of the mentor classes that are multimillionaires, and they're doing it big. And if you can afford it, go to it. But you gotta watch out for those sinkholes, because everybody wants to sell you everything. Everybody wants you to buy into this and buy into that, and that's just part of, I think, any type of business. But like junk removal right now is very, very hot. Junk removal is on fire right now. But
what, why though? It's all the money that is in here. People are
it's a cash
they know
cow.
There's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that everybody, like, I gotta say, bro, I've been in a lot of industries. I've never seen such sharks where everybody's trying to get in your pocket. Right away. Like it's constantly, and then you start second guessing everything, because they're in everybody's head, and you start thinking you need all this just to be successful, and you start getting like, oh my God, it gets like kind of crazy. Like there's 10 different things I'm being told that I need to do immediately that I should have been doing yesterday. And then you don't know what's real, what's not. What should I be spending on? If I'm not spending, am I losing out? Is everybody beating me? You know what I mean? It's like,
I think all that comes with trial and error. You have to go through these ups and downs. You have to go through like a solid season. I mean, a solid 1 year when you get to see all 4 seasons. Not I jumped in half the year. You know what I mean? You have to, just like Paul, you took a chance.
Yo, you woke me up with that, bro. When you said the full year, you can't do anything. You got to be on that no matter what. You got to go through a whole year. And when you hit it, because I'm listening to some of the videos at the beginning before I even got in, and I'm like, in my head, I'm budgeting like, all right, 6 months, I'm gonna have to be on the truck, then I could be out. Now I'm like, fuck, no way. You
No
still
way.
got, there's a lot more going on
Yeah.
here. And now, and when you said that day to me, it was like a wake up call. And it kind
Yeah.
of was like you just kicked me in the
A
nuts,
reality
bro, because
check.
my
A
whole
reality check.
timetable was just pushed back and I didn't ask for that.
Yeah, that's just you have to weather the storm. You have to go through that first year. You may have to go through 2 years to really convince yourself, do I need Google ads? Do I need Yelp? Do I need Facebook? But if you want to scale your business, there's certain tools that you really do need. And that's just it, because you cannot just rely on this and that, because you're going to hit your plateau. Go
You
ahead,
can be
Russ.
I don't mean
profitable
to cut
without any of
anybody
it.
off, but yo, Maria, I didn't know. I was thinking,
I
is
don't
that
even wanna
Russ's
talk to-
wife or something? And I'm like,
No.
wait, no. When I seen Kevin just said this was the troll, guys. Maria's in the house. So Maria, oh Russ, sweet dear.
My
you are
wife's a smoke show,
non-negotiable.
not that fucking pig. I'll tell you that.
Squeak.
Yeah, my wife is a smoke show. My wife is sexy as fuck, not some fucking lady in a 1915 hat walking around like, hey, how you doing? I got a pink hat on.
Wait, hold
I'm
on.
all
We
here
still,
for the-
I don't know. I got to correct me. We don't know. I think she might be real though. I
No,
think somebody.
she's not real. She's
No, I
a
think
real
there's a-
something. I think it's got a ding-a-ling.
Kevin was saying there was a junk removal company, and that was her.
It's an Audi, not an innie. I'll tell you that.
Okay, Denise says, I'm 2 months in and I haven't gotten a job yet. Not seriously looking. I am creating the right foundation. I had a bad feeling in my gut about Matt. So I got away or something. He got me in for a few $100, but I caught on and my husband said, Josh, I'm just going to put you on mute for a minute because it's really bad feedback, man. He got me for a few $100, but I caught on and my husband said, call Amex. They will go after him for the money. I just let it go. Karma will speak loudly. I am so sorry to hear that, Denise. Damn.
You know, it's funny because when you can go back and look in the groups. Matt banned me from every group that he's ever owned. He banned me because he couldn't stand the fact that I would call his ass out on this bullshit. And all the people, I just want to tell everybody out there that fucking is watching this, or anybody on YouTube that sat back there and said that Matt Fitch was this guy and he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I'm going to bring him on and he's going to be a speaker and he's going to do all this shit. And I sat there and shit talked him and told everybody he was full of shit. Go fuck yourselves, because I told you so, that motherfucker. Anybody who tells you I've got 15 pieces of paper for $10,000 and I'm going to make you a millionaire, you're an idiot if you decided to spend money with them, because that's about as fucking, that's like, oh, is that a scorpion? Oh, you think I could pay? Oh, he killed me. No shit. You don't touch the scorpion. You should, this is common sense. And I sat there and told all of you, this guy is full of shit. He doesn't know anything. And oh, lo and behold, some fucking crack job got him, or whatever the hell. I don't even know what happened to him. And then the best part was, is he sent an email. One of his clients sent him an email that was like, hey, dude, can I get my money back? Can you show me charts or anything that you've done? And he goes, you can go to Google and you can do a word search and you can see all this stuff on yours. If you want a refund for partial of the month, I'll send it back to you, or I'll take off what we did in the last month and give you a refund. Stop harassing me. This motherfucker stole your money and then returned an email that said, stop harassing me. Are you fucking kidding me? There should be, like, in the 1840s, when someone did something wrong, the whole fucking town got together and they said, Marge, grab the pitchfork. We're burning the fucker down.
Hang him.
They should be at his fucking house, banging on his door with pitchforks, ready to shove him up his ass, because that guy is a piece of shit. And I told everyone he was a piece of shit in the day, and it took me 3 years to say, fuck you, I was right. How's that?
Well, Maria says, I'm real. Trust me. Russ wants some of this spicy menudo. Junk owners are sheep. Just wave a Google's ad campaign and they'll flock.
She flocks the cock, the fucking whore. That's what that is. She fucking talks shit to me, you big fucking nose behemoth. I'm high now. I'll fucking rip your face off. I don't give a shit.
Who is Maria though? Like, Maria, if you own the junk removal company, let us know who, because you kind of did have us convinced a little last show that she was real.
She's not. It's Ricardo. It's probably Ricardo's wife, and he signs in. He's got like 7,000 fucking YouTube subscribers that are all his own fucking Gmails. And, it's probably like one of his. He just signs in and shit talks behind a girl because they think, oh, no, it's going to be mean to the poor little girl. Maria, I don't believe you. I don't believe you're a girl. I don't believe you're fucking real. I think you got a ding-a-ling, and I think you're Ricardo. So piss off.
Then he says, I did not hear that, Russ, or I would have not paid to build a landing page.
Yeah, I have a fucking landing page. Shit, you can go to Wix and get it for free. It's the same quality.
Wow. Well, guys, I want to thank everybody for coming on. Josh, thank you for coming on today, brother. I appreciate, clearing everything up. And guys, if you guys want to get in touch with Josh, where's the best place for them to hit you up? I know you said it earlier, but just say it one more time.
Honestly, Facebook, man. You can look up adsbyjosh.net. Website is under construction, but you can just add my Facebook. It's Josh Hollinsworth.
Now, Josh, no bullshit. Did Matt build your website? Is that why it's still under construction?
No.
Did he steal it on you in the middle of the night? Did he not pay his server bill? Did he not pay that Indian fucking ransom that they came out on his ass and said, oh, you're going to do this or fucking give me $1 million or I shut it all down? Is that what happened?
If you guys are looking for some help with your marketing and a Google situation, you should reach out to Josh. And you know what I mean? If you guys want to test his situation, you know what I mean? The only way to learn is to go through it, and hopefully he can pick you as a customer and a client, because I know he only works with a certain amount. So reach out to him.
Let's remind them one more time though, Josh. We have Abel from Temecula wants to work with you, and then John
Sean,
Aguirre from
Sean?
Phoenix, Arizona. So those guys are definitely open, and they wanted to keep us included and would keep us up to date. That would be huge for you, man.
And they're multi-truck. They're multi-truck operations. So he doesn't just work with one truck owners and everything. And I know Abel and I know what he does, and I know where we came from, a similar background. And if someone's going to give him that vote of approval, you guys should probably take it and understand that it means something. It's not like Ricardo's out here, saying, hey, go Josh. It's actually someone who's fucking done something with their life. So, that says something. When the guys that people know are moving over to someone or using someone, it's probably a good way to look at it, because they all know what they've been burned by everybody. They know what the questions are to ask. So
I think we just lost Josh, but thank you guys for coming on. Yep. Russ, appreciate it. If you guys want to get in touch with Russ, where's the best place for them to hit you up?
Facebook. Just go to Facebook and look me up in the groups, and you can just DM me.
Get over to Mr. Yee's YouTube channel, No Limit Holland. Go check it out. He's got killer content on the truck showing how it's done. You could learn so much from there, actually being on the truck and everything. Great stuff. He's doing the live interviews as well, so go show some love over there. And guys, thank you in the chat for everybody tuning in. If you haven't already, just hit that thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all the support, all the great questions. What is Maria? One last thing, Maria, this is the Forget About It show, not the Russ Talks ADHD show.
I do have ADHD.
Ricky right there. You sound like Ricky right now, bro.
Yeah, I do have ADHD, and it's funny that she brings this up because a buddy of mine also has ADHD, and we're actually working on a podcast where we're going to come up and we're going to have people who have real ADHD issues, and they talk about it, and they're bringing their families on and the doctors on, and we're trying to come up with a podcast, and it's going to be called One Brain Between Them, and it's basically two half-assed guys that come together and talk about the struggles of actually having ADHD. So thank you dipshit, for bringing up ADHD, because it is a real problem, and you're a piece of shit. So that's the way I look at it.
Russ, when you start that podcast, reach out to me. I can tell you my story on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very passionate about the ADHD thing. Very passionate about genetic mutations and things like that, and I'll be more than happy to help everybody out with that. That's like one of my true passions, because it's been a real problem in my life for a long time, and I'm finally got it under control, and I couldn't be any happier. So I'd love to be able to get that out to the world, and even if it helps one person, I win. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Russ, for coming on, man.
Later, boys.
Everything learned from you. Have a great night, everybody. See that gun show, Mr. Yee. Sun's out, guns out, baby. That's it. Killing it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later.